And as part of our Beacon Circuit tournament, it's EPIC36's semi-finals as we move on in the bracket stage and see how things will play. And who's going to be in the upper bracket finals? I'm the Eternal J. I'm joined by Hanno for the first time. You've been absent over the course yesterday. Your train was extremely late, I'm told, mate.
I had a grim travel, but I'm here now, Jay. And you know what? That's what it's all about, you know?
Indeed.
I'm finally here. I finally get to see some top-tier UK/Beacon Valorant. And, oh, my God, what two teams have we got here today, Jay? Because this is going to be a quite high-level game.
Yes, our first and second seeds taking each other on in the semi-finals as RIX Static will be taking on Temperate in our match of the day. Technically should have been the match we see in the upper bracket finals, but Temperate didn't quite top their group, Hanno. I think they had like a round difference of like 7 or so behind the first place team in the group, like a 6-1 overall record, kept them tied up, and the end result was, of course, the victory going the way of, I think it was CSGG, actually. It was up on the bracket. So they continue to be dominant. They continue to look good. And now, as a result, Temperate will be taking on the RIX side in the match that we should have been seeing in that upper bracket final. Comes to the semi-finals instead. And I'm excited to see how well it will go because it could be very interesting, mate. Yeah,
again, this potentially, depending on how the lower bracket goes as well, these two teams could be seen playing in the finals. Based on their seeding as well, they're looking really very strong. So, yeah, I mean, what are you looking to expect here from them? Do you know much about the maps for RIX? I haven't been keeping up with their maps.
Well, we've only been seeing best of ones is the problem.
Yeah,
we don't actually have like a definitive idea of the map pool per se. Like we're still sort of figuring that out. I think at the moment. Like RIX definitely know what they're doing because they have had a decent chance to, of course, play in the Beacon events before. We've been talking over the course of the entire weekend how they are the top ranked team at this event on the Beacon's ladder. So they obviously are the favourites in any series they walk into, and they probably are the favourites to take this overall tournament. Like people are looking at them and thinking that they should be the team to beat.
Yeah, 200 Beacon points. If they do manage to get that win, that'll be another juicy addition to their total. Obviously, there's still some points to come in the future events, but definitely a really good chance for them to bring that prize home. It's going to be an interesting one if they can pull it off. There's still some, you know, as you were saying, we were hoping to see CSGG in this game, weren't we? Because there was a very close match between RIX and CSGG in the group stage, I believe it was. Very tight match, almost capitulating to CSGG. Not quite. That is only the best of ones. It would be quite cool to see RIX CSGG in a full-on best of 3. If it had been this game, that would have been pretty cool, but Temperate managed to knock them down a peg in the quarters. Yeah,
of course, CSGG managed a 14-16 loss against the RIX side, so I was really hoping that actually that match would go the way of CSGG because I really wanted to see how well they do in the best of 3 format, and they could have very easily been in this position themselves. So I personally rate them pretty highly. I think they've done a fantastic job over on that side of things, but at the end of the day, we are talking about second versus first seed in this matchup. When it comes to our pre-tournament rankings, these are the guys we looked at the most as being the teams we want to look out for in the upper bracket finals. So only one of them are going to make it here, which means that for one team, it probably could be a definitive, how do I describe this? Like a definitive disappointment in terms of how they progress here, because again, both teams should be in the upper bracket final. Only one team will be in the upper bracket final.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have probably looked at each other as being their main competition coming into this event, and to win here would be a huge morale boost, not only for themselves, but just as a team in general. Really feel stronger, but we have actually got some of the bands coming in. Look at that.
We have Ascent, Haven, and Bind that will be played out here. Unfortunately, we don't know who's picked Ascent and Haven.
Unfortunately.
The graphics are missing from that side of things. But obviously, these maps probably a bit more standardized, I think, overall for both sides. I do believe that Haven was the map that RIX played. Or was it Icebox? It might have been Icebox, actually. It was Icebox. So we won't get to see the repeat of the close match that CSGG brought to them. And to me, it sort of makes sense that they would try and avoid that map, because having seen how down to the wire it got, you don't really want to play like a standardized map against an underdog team, right?
Yeah, especially if, obviously, that game being yesterday, maybe Temperate took some time looking ahead to see who they're going to be playing in this bracket. They could have done a little bit of review of that game since it was streamed. There was a little bit of stuff. Look at that, see if they can learn what CSGD did to break this RIX defense so many times.
On the flip side, though, you can imagine that obviously RIX would be prepared for their top seeds against the top teams in this tournament, and Temperate would be among that sort of ranking. So we're looking at these guys, and we're looking at this matchup and thinking that RIX surely should have done some homework, right?
You would hope so. Again, the seeding coming to this event is 1 and 2. So they are the main competition of each other, and if they're prepping for anything, they're prepping for their biggest opponents. Because you've got to go into an event assuming you're not going to lose to those teams that are, well, ranked worse than you. You've got to go in with confidence, and you've got to aim high. And so both these teams should be prepping against each other and going into this game. Well, hopefully there's some mind games going on. Hopefully there's some pre-prepared strats. Should be a really solid one because those maps look good. Ascent, very, very popular map. Yes. I'm glad to see it coming up first. I'm sure both will have a lot prepared for it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're going to have plenty of fun times ahead of this one here on that side. I believe that RIX decided to pick into Ascent just by reading the chat that I'm seeing over here on this side. So that kind of makes sense to a certain extent, but the only way we can find out how much it makes sense is to get into this matchup itself. Hanno, quick predictions for you in this one. Personally, I'm going to lean the side of RIX because they are our top seed in this tournament, but this is first versus second, so it really could swing either way. Do you have any favourites here?
What, for the whole thing you want me to predict, or just this match?
For this match.
For this match, I'm going to say, I think RIX picks this one up. I think RIX definitely is going to pick up Ascent here, but I'm concerned about the next two, so we'll wait and see what happens in those. All
right, well, let's jump into it. Ascent, our first map up of this series. Let's jump in and have a look at what the agent picks will be looking like here, Hannah. We've got pretty standardized stuff, I do believe, here from both sides.
Yeah, we have only got the Chamber, it looks like, on RIX, though. You know, one of the most popular agents right now. Strange to see it not used on Ascent, a map with long sight lines, good angles, and some great teleport positions for that Chamber. So, interesting that they've decided to not opt in for that. Obviously, both the KOs, the Astra over the Omen. I'm not sure why Stokesy's gone for that pick, but it will be interesting to see how they do use it. And obviously, there is still a Jet on the side of Temperate.
I'm just looking forward to see how Sergino's going to do, because over the course of yesterday, he was a constant MVP in all of RIX's best of one performances. And being on the Chamber, the tour de force being brought out, he was always a consistent element. So he's the guy you want to watch out for the RIX side, in my personal opinion, because he was just stellar, absolutely stellar every single time.
That's good to see. Then keep an eye out on that Chamber. And as we get on into the pistol, see some of those buys, and obviously a few ghosts and bits and bobs. Looks like the Killjoy going to be setting up towards that B main, but rotating on out towards the middle area. Astra going to be left alone on A, and it's a kind of triple stack here from Temperate. This could be some kind of a read, or to be honest, a standard default. That A site is a little bit easier to retake sometimes than this B, but a little bit of a slow start. Jay, not much going on at the moment as everyone just preps up for the round to get started in earnest.
There's careful placement, shock dart of Dutchy, looking to time things well, look for the information. Get info back on the attacking side of things, taps forward, and they will try and push the issue. Josh in particular getting the kill on Pegasus, able to find the opening duel, and they weren't expecting that at all here for RIX.
It's a very strong opener, and now the defense with that man advantage going to feel super comfortable about rotating one of those B players over towards A in case the RIX side decides to swap sites, and it does seem to be what they are doing. That spike moving on over that middle position. No one is actually checking middle. They're confident with these two players on either side. There is the knife from the KO, and that will land onto the Chamber. The wall goes up, and they will try and cross, but the Nanoswarm perfectly placed to deny it.
Stopping any progress and trying something they can put further utility out there to suppress the 2-for-1 trades. Come back for the RIX side to a 3-on-3. The spike should get planted right here and now. Of course, Temperate will be able to hear that and understand that. And the retake will get set up for it. Very low HP over on Sergino's part of things. So things are going to look awkward for the RIX side, but they set themselves up ready to receive as they dash out of the way. Temperate making their way in from the short control, in particular Sergino evading the shock dart, but unable to evade the shot from Dutchy. Peter with a trade back, 2-on-2. Unawares of where Dutchy's coming into. He hears those footsteps, and now it's Lou left alone to try and hold off against him. Shifty so low, but Dutchy is high as he gets his triple and kicks things off for Temperate.
A lovely little triple from Dutchy there, and yeah, Temperate will lead with the first round. A little bit tight in places, but they had wonderful utility there, especially that short execute coming on up, the Sage wall going on down, but then being completely prepared for what RIX was trying to do, popping that Nanoswarm, denying any kind of entry into the site, and allowing them to get this rotate around all the way onto A and deny that site. Really beautiful stuff to see from the Temperate team. Can't really tell at this point whether that was a read or whether that's just a standard play they like to do, but I absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, good start for Temperate, of course. Opening round being gained, and of course the RIX side was just kind of caught flat-footed by a lot of the strategies that Temperate will bring into the table in terms of this matchup. So the pistol could set the pace for how things will go. They'll continue the B-main aggression from both sides here. Dutch is going to see two individuals get one with the recon bolt, and the shock dart as well coming in to dish out some damage. I don't think it caught anybody though. No, there was a healing involved there to get Sergino back to 100 HP. Forced to challenge on to the turret position as Shifty swings with the SMG. The kill fountain to kick things off.
Another opening for Temperate. Starting to be a bit of a pattern. Now Peter here is very, very low. Only behind this smoke. A little bit of spam would end their life. But yet again, we see RIX in a very awkward situation. They tried to get that entry onto B. They weren't able to find it. It was close. You know, Serginho almost had that headhunter shot onto the swinging Killjoy, but it won't be the case. They've rotated over towards this A. But Temperate's read it again. They've moved their players over towards A side. 2 players playing on the right here. They're not going to be expecting it. And surely this execute is doomed to fail. The Astrostar down as well. It's going to be a tough call.
Send the utility out. Horn's going to mark at least one player, but Stempy with the lineup. Stokesy with 2 more. And there it is. Pistols v Automatics. Guess which one wins in that occasion?
Yeah, it's not usual you see the Pistols run out indeed. But another good round from Temperate. And good reads. They know where their opponents are. Even if they don't have 3/4 of the map under their control, they're able to predict where these sites are going to be. And if that keeps up, their defense should be very, very strong. Especially on a map such as Ascent here, with the Killjoy in tow as well. They've got so much utility to be able to deny these sites. And as long as they've got a decent amount of players, 2 or 3 players on the sites when the execute comes in, they should be able to hold off, get these rotates in, and still have enough utility to deny late round takes.
Oh, Paranoia already catching the Temperate side off, but they are being suppressed here. Catching Pegasus, Josh with the kill back. Stempy will try the trade to continue to put the fragments down. Knives could come through. Law's playing extremely close towards them. Sprays back. Rex actually gets the kill on the trade. So 4 on 3. Static have the control here, but Stokesy holding back until the very last second to engage against Serginho. Spray back, look for the double, but Rex holds the responsive, and Shifty is left alone. Backup is on the way though. They will cover it off and should get the spike down.
That's another plant for the RIX side. Finally in an advantage position, 3 and 2. Up an individual right now. Dutchy hunting for Peter towards long, but that is not going to happen. They're playing it safe, RIX, and I like that. They've got to get this round on the board now.
Trying to hunt for the info still. There's nothing being shown by RIX fading away. Shock dart missed for Dutchy. That's not ideal. Second one trying to get thrown out. And they catch Lou alongside Peter going down. Rex now reveals the position. 1 versus 2 situation. Wrap around the corner with the sprays, but can't quite connect the kill shots. And it will be another successful retake for Temperate here.
He missed the first shock dart, Jay, but it was, he started a second one in his arsenal. Lands that and then kills the player swinging out on a long. Probably didn't quite need to swing out there. And then, picking up that kill. Close there. So a very solid round from Temperate, pulling it back from that 3v2 disadvantage. And suddenly we're starting to see the ults get online. Now this is where I think RIX is going to be sort of kicking themselves here. They've got the KOR up now. It's ready, but they don't have the economy, obviously, after losing that Vandal round against those SMGs. They're going to be feeling a little bit rough about that one. Temperate should be feeling pretty safe. They've managed to recover a few of those guns that were dropped, and their economy looking relatively healthy at this point. 3-0 up. It's a good start for the Temperate side.
Back to pistols for Static once again. Knives will not catch anything for Stempy. Shifty leaning forward at the dark position, going to be ready to receive the 3 individuals. Also got a turret out towards the corner boost. Have the information as well with the Nano Swarm. The Howler's out on the RIX Static side. That should get put down pretty quickly by Temperate. Of course, information has been gained by the attacking forces, but nothing they can really commit with here, and especially with Pegasus falling down in mid. That's already the opening start. Serginho almost looked like it was going to catch off Dutchy there, but fortunately, the X-ray is deceiving, and there is going to be an easy kill for the RIX side.
Well, yet again, Static down that sort of first blood in the round. Seems to be a common occurrence. They have only had 1 rifle. I'm being a bit unfair on them here. But Temperate holding strong. They're not over-aggressing. Again, they know the quality of their opponents here. They know that RIX is not going to be easy to roll on over. So they're playing it safe, and they're not getting too cocky here, which is good to see. Sometimes you see it around people, they start to build up that confidence, and they go a bit crazy. Dutchy holding back here, finds 1, looks for the second, will secure it.
No, exactly where Serginho was as well. Stokesy will get credit with that kill. It's left to RIX Peter now in the 1 versus 5. Sheriff in hand. 23 seconds to try and work in at least a decent pick back. It's just not going to happen now, unfortunately. Just the 5 power difference is too high. And again, the positive start rolls on for Temperate. 4-0 now. RIX back up with the weapons, however. Their next big chance to try and strike back and get their match started here.
That is the key for them. They've got to win at this rifle round here. They struggled there in round 3 when they already had the advantage. Obviously, you're playing into that kind of bonus round from Temperate. They've got no rifles. They're just rocking the SMGs, and they weren't quite able to pick that one up. And now, because of that, Temperate's been able to get up that operator because they didn't have to rebuy on a lot of those rifles. So Josh going to be feeling pretty comfortable with that. But RIX here with the 5 rifles, they've got to go for something. But Josh is going to be posted on this position straight away at the start of the round.
Ready for the kills as well. Again, Howler's sent out, but Operator shot to connect towards Pegasus. Easy frag. Dips in for a second pick and almost lands at the same. Forced to dash out of the way. Engage against Sergino. And Pegasus is forced to get Brewing back. Alongside Rex's kill to a 4 versus 4. Temperate have lost control.
Lost their one-man advantage they did have. And yet again, you see them kind of moving over to the A site. They're not interested in going for that B. I think they're just very aware of this Killjoy utility, as well as the Astra Stars, and they don't want to go through it. Killjoy comes out.
Stemper with a lineup, so only gets the 1 kill for it. Rex on instant trade, and also the barrier orb goes out to suppress the defensive side a bit more. They can cross back into the A site as a result here. Again, getting rid of that utility. Pegasus and Peter will end up falling. It's all left to Rex. Now up for the clutch, a 1-on-3. They're all inbound from heaven, though. The Owl drone will try and evade position as Rex will get her on the reload. Reface around the corner. Great kill against Shifty, but now will be detected for permanency. Dutchy making his way in with a shock dart. Stokesy wraps around the other side of the site and gets in the retake. The 5th round going the way of Temperate. Yeah. RIX have looked real awkward in this game, and I'm not sure whether or not they're coming into form today, Hanno, because they've had a struggle in their last match as well against the Pink Fluffy Unicorns. Yeah. An overtime result in one of those maps. It was a 2-0 to their credit, but they have really had a struggle in those matches, and in this case as well. Well,
that PFU team has some very, very strong players in the forms of Lear, Kinghas. Yep. You know, very, very strong players that have come before in orgs before to Epic. And they've looked very, very strong before, so I'm not surprised that Mix has put up some big numbers against teams like Static here. And of course, Static, they've got to get their boots on the ground really here. They've got to get the numbers on the board, because at the moment it just kind of feels like they had that advantage. They pushed that site with the KO ult. They should have been perfectly ready to hold off that afterplant, but then the Omen gave up a free kill. There was a player towards Long that got completely just picked off in the open. They need to be more careful about those positions once they try and get the spike down. But Josh going for a bit of a play towards B-Main. There is a player on the close left, that is Fade. Lou does know they're close up, and if Josh decides to swing this, might be able to find... Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Shot on connects perfect. Advantage gained by Temperate. Damage done. Spray is blinded. Stokesy doesn't return fire. Dutchy does, though. Spike can get picked up, and Sergino's got a TP out of there. Protect that crucial piece of the puzzle for the RIX Static. Now Shifty forcing out the Nano Swarm. We're waiting for contact ahead of the dark cover. 3 players to face him. This should be either an easy lineup or a decent trade.
Shifty just waiting for someone to walk on through that smoke and catches the edge of one, but that's not it.
And fragments coming in should force them out into the site itself. So that just more than anything else prioritizes the spike plant here for the RIX Static side. Down to the hands of Sergino. Of course, main completely opened up. We've got Hunter Fury coming in from the defensive line. Can't quite catch them off, though. We'll just go for those common pre-fire angles, but not connect them. Finally, Pegasus is forced forward, as is Peter. Gets 1 and 2. Drops down Stempy, drops down Shifty. Soaks with the trade back, and Sergino is left alone in the clutch again. Spray through. Now no. Gets 1 engagement at least, and forced with the dash up against Josh as well. And now picking out the Headhunter. Location has been revealed, and now Stempy's been brought back in play. Dutchy challenging. Sergino, 15 HP, needs the headshots perfect, but it's just too much to do. A well-placed sequence, a hell of a hold, but just not enough for RIX again. 6-0 for Temperate here.
That was very, very close. Obviously, the KO getting revived pretty much last second, it looked like, from my perspective. They're sitting towards that door area. And RIX, they got to be worried right now. They've just lost the last 6 rounds, and 3 of them were their rifles, one of which the 3rd round they had a huge advantage in over their opponents. It's not looking good, and yet again they're back onto that economy round. They got a couple of sheriffs out, they got a couple of ults, but they're not going to be very impactful. I don't really think Chamber on the offense is going to be too strong here at opening up sites with the ults. They really haven't got anything going into round 7, and yeah, that's pretty much the half lost. If you're not even getting a single round out of the first 7, you are really struggling. They've got to figure out what's going on. Because you said earlier, this is the map that they picked first up, isn't it? They should be confident here.
Information gained early by Dutchy. First wall bangs here with the Sheriff in hand. Unfortunately, unable to really do much with it. Forced back as they do find out where he is. The Haunt doing well enough here for the RIX Static side. The shock darts continue to pour in, but they don't do much damage for it. Now they look to hold, but when do RIX act?
They are all sat outside here. It's got to be an execute, but how fast will they come in?
Paranoia keeps them blind, force forward. Rex looking over alongside the likes of Sergino, but Temperate get those kills on Shifty and Stokesy. Pegasus forced to try and back in. Shocked up, but Dutchy being left alone at the back of the site. Backup is on the way here for Temperate. being borne down upon by the Tour de Force. Shifty now up here. TP in for Pegasus. Shut down by Shifty instantly. Well responded to. RIX reduced to 2 now. Sergino trying to bust in. Lou trying to cut off those rotates, and indeed will be able to do so. Suppress the second player as well. Josh down. Tour de Force still firing. 3 bullets already left in the chamber. Gets the 2, and Suchi forced to respond. All left to Lou in the 1v2, and surely should be flanked in, should be converged upon. Swing out. Low HP. Stempy closes 7-0.
Considering what they brought into that round, RIX having a pretty successful one there, it's not going to change the economy too much because, of course, Temperate have just won 7 in a row, so they're sitting pretty comfortable. 3 of their players on 7, 8k, 2 of them on 5. They're going to be feeling pretty nice with that economy, and I don't think Static's done much to impact there. But it was still a good round. You know, gets it down to the 1v2. It's a situation potentially Lou could have found something, but yet again, RIX able to do it. It does feel like the RIX executes just aren't quite together. So even there, they were dropping the smokes towards market, but some of those players were swinging out of that B tunnel's position before the smoke even popped. So they died from those market players, spotting them out and getting a free pick. And they can't really afford to do that here in this very tight matchup.
Great knives in from mid to catch one player off. I don't know if it extended to the player, also back out to market. Either way, RIX will start to swing and finally get the opening kill. Josh down, first and foremost. Stokesy will also get tagged up for the passive control they have at the top of mid. Temperate down by a player and forced to play passive, but as a RIX giving them a lot of breathing room and a lot of pacing, just removed from play. Stokesy is caught next though, so they continue to extend the advantage.
Stempy just going to play inside the smoke with the pop flash kind of ready here, and might be facing a few more than they can handle. There are 3 players running up short.
Oh, spray through, only gets the 1 frag. Pegasus instant responsive alongside Sergino coming up, going against Shifty. All left to Dutchy now, bursting forward, but just too many players to find. And at long last, RIX will get their start. It's coming very, very late in this matchup, though, Hanno.
It certainly has. The best they can hope for here is, what, a 7-5 half? And realistically, the defense is favoured here on Ascent, I would say. You know, it's probably about a 51-49 in terms of rounds. It's usually quite a close one. To go down 7-5 would be okay, but it would require a very strong defense from them, which their comp is kind of set up for, but I don't think it's as strong as the Temperate defense. You know, the Astra and the Killjoy, very, very crucial in this defensive setup they've got. Static doesn't really have that. Of course, they've got the Fade, they've got a Chamber, and they've also got the KO. But the rest of them, not necessarily strong defensive operators. As long as they use them correctly, though, I am confident they can bring this back. You know, they haven't got so many beacon points for not being able to win in tough scenarios before.
Once again, Josh forced forward the operator, but Sergino's going to find the kill instead. That's a start again for RIX. A quick pop forward and a hell of a shot to connect. Yeah. Advantage now gained by the RIX side. 5 on 4. Temperate still yet to respond.
With slow pacing, but yet again Static coming towards this A site. Grouping on up, the Killjoy nanoswarms will get dropped. Loads of utility, and the execute comes in.
As Rex with the kill onto Shifty in the end, forcing them back alongside Stokes getting picked up. This is starting to get a little bit awkward now for Temperate. The 7-0 start looking confident. Now they're locked out of the A site, and you can see that one man's already even just falling back from the Temperate side. I don't even think the Dutchie wants to go for this. I don't think his teammate should do either. He's looking around towards Heaven, trying to challenge onto them, but ultimately this is a round for the RIX side, and there's nothing Temperate can do.
They are pretty much locked out, as you say. All 5 alive for Static. They're going to be pretty happy with that one. Temperate saving a little bit of economy, I suppose, here by keeping these Vandals in play. It might opt to even just run in and die. I'm not sure how the economy could work out from it. No, they're going to go in for that save. Spike will go off, I believe, for the first time in this match, and Static push it 2-2. Much needed round for them, and still could have a pretty respectable performance in this half.
Started to bring things back for the time being. Whether it will end up ending respectfully is yet to be seen, however.
Very different question, yeah.
Yes, Temperate.
2 in a row. That's a pretty good start.
I mean, Temperate have definitely capitulated in the last couple of rounds, but we have just seen 7 in a row from them, so they've shown that they can compete against this RIX side.
Yeah.
Probably not in this round, though. There is a Spectre out for them. The Operators will once again be in for Josh and Sergino. But you can see the difference in terms of the Operator players themselves. Sergino leading the charge out for RIX versus Josh, who's at the bottom of the board here. Will still try challenge initially for the short control. Smoked off from position, so no real angle to work with.
You're going to be spamming everything, and not find much to. Both the A players kind of walking off them. I wonder if there was a call there for some kind of a mid play. They're going to be walking on back towards this site, and I think Josh going to have to try and bait here for Stempy. Does actually hit the shot. It's huge from Josh, and Stempy follows it up. They go for the revive, but there's still 2 players here.
Fire back, RIX forces that and gets a double instead. A sequence to return fire when you thought that Josh had somehow surmounted the odds. Now Stokesy left on the back of the site, center of it behind the boxes. Second player and third man also on the way in as the lockdown comes out, and there's no escaping it here for the A site defenders. They'll try find the gaps here. 4 seconds. Oh, it's going to be real awkward. Stokesy, I don't think he's going to make it out. Yeah, he's going to get locked down.
And it's a defender killjoy.
No.
They've
Okay.
had to back off.
Right. Force him back for static.
Yeah. Stokesy, oh, he's going aggressive.
That's awkward again. Sagino caught. Smoking. Peter will flash way forward. Stokesy caught. Dead to rights on RIX's part. Triple up. 3 versus 2. Shifty makes it back to 2 versus 2.
That spike will go down, and finally on even footings. Let's see who comes out on top. Previously, it has been Temperate far too many times, but Static on that 2-round win streak. They might be able to make it 3 and start to have a much more of a respectful half. Now, both players going to be coming through this heaven area. Peter finds one. Peter looking for the second. I don't quite find it just yet.
Shock Darts trying to come out to catch him. They will make their way back out to the open space, however. Away from that heaven exploitation, Dutchy dives down, rifle pulled out, tap on the defuse, sticking it. Peter will slowly swing, and that's the right call to make to win out the round for RIX Static. Temperate did all they could with the ulti investment. You mentioned that Killjoy lockdown that should have been invested and should have been able to hold them back, but all it was stalling for time.
Yeah, I mean, with still a minute left on the clock, I think it was a good attempt, and they did stall for time, but they didn't really necessarily gain much out of it. They forced RIX to back off, but RIX could have easily gone back towards B there, and the defenders didn't necessarily have the info on where they were going to go. I don't know, maybe it was a bit hasty to drop it that early, but still, RIX up with the 3, and with 2 rounds left of the half, they've shown very good sign of completing up to 5. Now, knives coming out from Josh straight away. A couple of players sitting outside that B area, but Josh not getting aggressive just yet.
No real aggression from Static in general, actually.
Passive. It's a good start, I think, of the round for them, just to play it safe. Because quite often, those early 7 rounds, they were losing that initial pick, and then they would just fall into going to a 4-man A execute, and it did not work. So they've changed it up a bit, playing a little more passive, not losing that first pick, and that seemed to work out for them. Well,
they've often faced the aggressive force of the defensive forces when they move up towards A main or towards B main, and they've been successful with that so far. Now they'll make some noise as Lou charges forward. They will suppress individuals on the back of the site. Flash forward for Peter. Sees one. Josh with a decent trade. Taps through from Sergino. There with the Vandal. A 4-on-3 against. Can get Peter back in to make it 5. However, as Stempy immediately puts down Pegasus, looks for the second, holds his own with 5 HP, but should get forced out by Peter's part. A 3-on-2 has been found by him, so it's left to his teammates to try and clutch the rest of this, but they're not looking the way of Lou, who removes Stokesy, leaving Shifty to stand alone.
And with just a Sheriff in hand, Jay, I don't think it's going to be very doable for Temperate here. They're going to allow this. Well, I mean, it's still worth going for, I suppose. The 1v3 with the Sheriff in hand. Lou is known of their position towards B main, just baiting it out. A couple of players close towards that B side. The Static should be going up to 4 here. And Shifty should be falling, as we see there. One more round left of the half. And after a great start from Temperate, RIX getting back in form. It's really going to be telling if they can continue this kind of streak when they walk on over to the defenders, then Temperate might be facing a defeat here in map 1. It could still happen, you know. It's, but early doors look great for them.
No, it's definitely possible, and that's the reason why Stokes has called this time out here to rethink the situation for his team, for Temperate overall. Started off so positive, of course, the RIX side, I argue that they could have taken a tactical time out of their own right, and their own opportunities had come a little bit earlier on, but at the end of the day, they've had the mental fortitude to push forward in their current state of affairs and still turn the situation back towards their favour. Temperate, however, no recovery can be seen in this half, and they can potentially get 8-4, as you mentioned, try and get that little bonus. Then from there, it's only 5 rounds that you need on the attacking half to claim control of this first map in the series. For RIX, it's all about number 5 and the best scoreline they could get, having gone down and losing the half in the first 7 rounds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens when we do swap over, but this will be the last round of here, the first half. Temperate, their comp is much better on that defense. I'd like to say, you know, that Killjoy loses a lot of their effectiveness when they do move over onto the offense, because they have to really get onto a site to drop like their nanoswarms and util. It's not particularly useful for entering, whereas you can easily find some first bloods when you're on the defense when people run on into that util. So interesting to see how that will work out, how they play that killjoy when they do move on over. And Josh holding an angle, but they're instantly blinded, nearsighted, and Pegasus is going to be running straight through.
Ooh, trying to risk it, getting caught by the gravity well as well, and ultimately overwhelmed by the Temperate side. Peter forcing forward as Josh takes the shorty straight in alongside the trade back from Stokesy and Lou. Now to a 2v2. Lou is still alive on the site, will also close out short, leave his teammate there to try and cut the rotation, to try go for a flank itself. Info dart to come through. Lou's going to get caught by it, but pop it open. Wallbangs will also be attempted. Prowler sent out as well, forcing the issue back in towards Dark as Sergino looks for the angle, pops open the window, sees them both, but doesn't get a kill for it. Not even that much damage. Now, where is Lou? Can they find him? They sent the owl drone out, but into the wrong place. Turret's going down. They'll look, continuously hunt, and now wait. With pops out, the face forward from the Heaven Control. Kill found for Dutchy's part, and it will be 8 rounds for Temperate to at least close the half on a high note.
I love the small little details there. Dutchy dropping onto the box. They have to flick to the legs on the right, and then we see the Killjoy falling on down onto the ground proper. A lovely 8th round for Temperate. You know, there's a bit of a stall there. 4 rounds that fell out of their hands, but they've got to be happy with an 8-4 half. They needed a strong defense, and they have produced one. And well, it's all going to be telling here in the upcoming round how they do start to use this utility that they have on the offense. They are stacking up towards this B site, and there are 3 players for RIX quite close to that B tunnel's entrance. So I'm imagining it's going to be quite a bloody start. Dutchy currently topping the scoreboard for Temperate. Had a very good game, 12-3. That's not bad.
Oh, 11-7 for Stempy. So the kills might be much higher, but the kill count's probably there for his own right. So evens for their own right with the pistol, with Dutchy appropriately leading the charge in towards that main control. So Gino give away quite a fair amount of information there towards that mid position as Rex the hunt for the ulti orb there, put the barrier down a little bit earlier on. And Shifty actually found those first couple of picks, and Sergino trying to take back the headhunter, forced to teleport out of there. Though so much utility utilised to try to stay alive there in the mid control, and Rick Static have gotten away worse for wear on it. The 5-on-3 ace side basically completely opened up right here. They will be slowed for a time being, buy some time for the rotates, but they can't deny the spike plant here.
5-on-3. Rick's going to be on a very difficult retake, especially Stempy playing very, very far forwards. Might use the knife to find some info out to a short. No, they're all going to go through long, and Dutchy's there, finds 2. So Unio does get the response, but 1v4J, I don't think it's doable.
It would be the most magical clutch we've seen so far here at Epic Land if he's able to pull it off, which is the reason why it is so undoable, honestly. Maybe catch Shifty, but then perfect headshots on every other player.
Yeah. That's what we needed.
With absolutely no damage to return back to against him. So there's just not really much in it for Rix's side of things. This will be the 9th for the Temperate camp.
They're all going to
make their way out. Yeah.
You might learn, look for some exit frags. They do a bit of damage. Just to know those pistols for the next round. Able to find not much at all. Josh will finish them off, and Temperate go up to 9, closing in on that double digits. And a good attacking start for them. And Ascent could be theirs. You know, after a RIX picking it as the first map of the series, Temperate could be about to perform a small upset.
Well, the RIX side, of course, will be on the eco basis. So they'll let this get to 10-4 and then try bring the comeback from there when the guns come out. And they have proven with that 4-round streak that they have got the potential to do something in this matchup, of course. It's a case of stretching that. And at such a high-pressure, crucial moment in the match itself, Temperate dish out some damage, and as you mentioned, potentially could be within touching distance of taking map 1 here in our best of 3.
Still a long way to go.
Yeah, still a very long way to go, of course.
But it's something we've got to start thinking about, you know, entering into that second half. Very defensive setup from RIX, pretty passive, apart from those 2 players towards A long. Actually, no, they push players into A long and B. They want this info really early. They want these fights with these shorties as quick as possible. Temperate might be about to walk into Peter. There's a potential for a couple of kills here for RIX.
Depends on how well these pistols fire, and the time against Pegasus is jiggle peaks. Peter taps, misses. Josh's Marshall lands it. Pegasus also caught off by information, and there it is, another good kill for the Marshall. Easy pickings, even Sergino. I'm going to get caught off guard for a moment. Does get the trade back onto the sniper player, but Stokes there with an immediate responsive, so the 4 versus 2 RIX Static will push the issue, but ultimately will fall down again. The better weapons over on this attacking side, so Temperate will deal with them as appropriate. Take the next round as a bonus one. RIX Static, 6 to make up here on this comeback, and it's not quite match point just yet, but obviously they are bearing down upon it for Temperate.
Yeah, it's starting to get worrying. You know, we saw those 4 rounds, and I was like, okay, RIX back in their game. They're going to be honest, but then losing that second pistol, it's pretty crippling for their round score. There's going to be a lot more pressure on them now. If they'd just won that pistol, they could potentially be 9-5, 8-6 right here. Completely different game. Losing both pistols so far here on Ascent, not a good start for them. Obviously, still 2 more maps to come potentially. It's not going to be over for them even if they do lose their first pick on Ascent. They're a strong team. We were talking about the map pool earlier, not necessarily being completely confirmed. There could be some surprises in for us later from how well this team might play. But look how far back Temperate is. I guess they're expecting some kind of a rush or a fast play from RIX because they are all sitting as far back as possible.
Well, they know that they've popularised the aggressive defensive side.
Yeah.
In no irony in this map up so far.
Yeah.
And again, it's been punishing RIX whenever they were on their attacking halves. They just got pressed in and constantly out towards B main particularly. In this particular case, they have just got themselves the barrier orb to try and stop any information from being found. Maybe could end up seeing a boost over or just pop it open and try and get everybody over. One player lurking out towards that mid position, and now they all fire together. The burst to open immediate effect. So Gino sees the dash forward, sprays back. He's going to get caught by Josh, who doubles up, in fact, towards RIX. 5-on-3 being found, and they storm that B side. Should get the spike down for it.
Lovely entries from Josh there, and this after plant going to be pretty safe for them. They got all 5 alive. Josh a little bit low, might play a bit safe. But 3 players from Static to get this retake. It's going to be a challenging one, and they don't even have a KO ult to force out the util.
And Stokesy also hunting with the late lurk to try and cut them off at the mid-control, and ultimately will not be able to make anything happen for RIX. They're going to save their weapons, get a decent buy in the next round because they're going to need it. It's going to be 11-4 for Temperate here on map 1. And that is discouraging for RIX, right? Yeah. Because this could have been their moment. Like, yes, you lose the pistol, you lose the conversion, as you would always expect. For the guns was where you come back and you start to mount this comeback from here. But that's not what's happened at all for this team. They've got to take it on the chin as Temperate continue to stack up the rounds.
A couple of those players playing in those kind of one-and-done positions, which if you're not playing against a Jet, you can usually go one-and-done. But when you're playing against a Jet like that, or even a Raze, to be honest, let's be realistic here, Raze does almost the exact same job, they can really mess up your angles. And we saw there, I think it was Serginho in the corner, just cannot track that Jet dashing across. It's such a difficult shot to hit. And then they sort of hide behind the wall or on the up on the top of the ledge by the door handle there on the front of B site, and it's a very tough shot to hit. So then that's 3 entries for Josh and RIX Static in a very tough scenario. 7 rounds down. It's a long journey to bring it back, but it is certainly doable. These are top tier teams, and I think RIX is one of the ones that we're going to keep an eye on for some kind of crazy comeback later on. Now, again, a passive start from Temperate J. Maybe this is just their default. Maybe this is something specifically against RIX that they like to run, but I usually see at least somebody trying to make some effort towards that A or B main, try and get some sort of map control, but they're giving it all to RIX.
In theory, it could provide some breathing room for RIX to force the issue forward, but at the same time, you take a look at how the default works in the last round, and we saw how confident they looked on the Temperate side, so
yeah,
there's no real reason to complain about it, at least not right now. When it starts to cause some issues, when we can really talk about that. Again, RIX will take that passiveness on the chin, push forward to get the ulti orbs out of the B main position. Dutchy, the Owl drone, will check out the back of Wine, but see nothing as they once again rotate to the B play.
Just needing Dutchy. Overwatch's position will be detected, of course. 0 point will give them away. But that's just 1 player, and that is all that RIX has right now. They've got 2 players over towards that B site, 2 players swinging out mid. They're not seeing anything towards there. They might think this is fully an A hit.
This is Peter's shot to strike, but he's not going to quite find it here. 28 seconds. Oh, they've gone the wrong way. Horn destroyed. Lou now stands alone, trying to suppress them. He's going to get detected by the knives. Peter comes up with a decent kill. Rex able to hold back against Josh, and Shifty also falls to Lou. So despite all the util placement there for Temperate, it's RIX that hold the line. 13 seconds. The lineup for Rex looks easy. Runs out of ammo and gives Lou the double instead, as RIX will finally find some confidence to kick off their defensive half.
Lovely little lineup there, Rex with the well, with the SMG basically just firing at long range, able to do some great damage, shut down that Temperate advance. I was a bit concerned there. You saw how far away those RIX players were. They were trying to flank the A long push. They saw no one outside B, no one in the middle. They thought they 5-sat A long, they're going to burst in, go in for an execute. They were flanking it. They were miles and miles away from the rotate, but somehow RIX was able to pull off a site hold with none of those players backing them up. Temperate changing it up now. They've gone well away from that passive side. They're going aggressive. Josh hits a completely blind shot. They saw the player, got completely blinded, and still able to find it. And that's RIX again losing that first blood.
That was so sick. As soon as Temperate changed the pacing as well, right? They're just playing the last 2 rounds unbelievably passive, and here they are now. On the first frag instant, as you mentioned, Josh just barely able to read the position of where he was going to be at. Saw the player before he got blinded himself. Kill gets found and forced to rotate right back out towards the A site, and as Dutchy falls as well, so Gino will be able to find the trade back for RIX, so it's all down to the A play.
Giving up their man advantage and allowing Sayuno to rotate. Temperate going to have a difficult time breaking on in. The Astra smokes go on out. Josh, no dash.
Forces forward, and Pegasus strikes as well with a spray down. So Gino also holds from heaven, gets a blind kill on Stokesy for the triple, and RIX continue to find confidence.
I think the mistake there from Temperate was losing Dutchy towards that B site once. So, got that kill. They instantly teleported out. Now that the rotate to A is a lot shorter, they were able to make it there, back up Pegasus. And that Temperate execute onto the A site just completely fell apart. We saw, so much utility being used by them, but still couldn't get any of those kills towards that A position. And realistically, if that B player in Dutchy just kind of chilled, played a bit safe, maybe gone for that kind of fake play a little bit later, then we would have seen Temperate able to break onto the A site and definitely get a plant.
Got Blade Storm called out as well for the Temperate side. Saw this on the defensive line, but very quickly Josh is going to utilize it for the entry kill against Peter if he can find the angle. Headshots are plenty. 2 players to potentially find this one. The barrier orb comes out, and the kills gets found by the defensive side instead, already removing that ultimate from play. Waste there on the part of Temperate.
Slow orb's going to go towards that A main position. 3 players are there. Temperate losing players left, right, and center here, as they've also lost Stokesy towards that cap position. They know that pretty much all of these Temperate players stuck outside A long, and they are prepped for it. Peter walking forwards, playing a bit of an off angle here. Just going to fight through the flash.
2-for-1 trade. So Gino, however, still holds heaven with a triple, and that's why I highlighted him. When he gets going, he is going like the clappers. And right now for RIX Static, he is bringing these rounds past the finish line, dragging them on the Temperate side by the hair, it seems like. 16 kills so far, taking the frag count lead on the whole server right now. And it's a timeout called in by Temperate here. Stokesy,
right?
Yes, using the second one for this squad. And that just goes to show how off the rails this match really has gone from the tail end of the first half and now into the second. Yes, they were able to get the pistol and a decent rifle and a decent eco, but they haven't got match point yet.
No, it's still another round to go before they can get towards that match point, so they need 2 rounds to win. And RIX now not that far behind. There was a 7-round difference at one point, but it's now down to 4. And RIX looking very strong, as you said, so, just having some brilliant rounds. This chamber always in the right position to deny these executes. And so Stokesy and the rest of the Temperate side hopefully going to be discussing how they can crack into these sites a little bit easier. And they've had some brilliant first bloods. We had a beautiful entry from Josh, just a couple of entries from Josh just a couple of rounds ago. And they've been able to find those early picks onto RIX, but they just haven't quite managed to finish the round. They've been losing a pick somewhere else on the map that probably Temperate didn't need to. Now, as you say, yeah, so, just popping off 16 to 12. Dutchy not that far behind, and I don't know how on earth they've only died 7 times, but 15 to 7 is still a very lovely KD for them.
Dutchy's the only player in server that has yet to cross double digits on deaths.
Oh, that's very true.
Which is incredible to me. Possibly.
Sorry,
I don't know. But wait, listen. You're the expert in this case. I'll let you make the judgment call on that one. Josh forcing forward very quickly in from Temperate once again. Sergino, the operator, though, is very aware of at least one player on the attacking side. Peter trying to account for this mid-control, but Stedpy gets the pick instead. So the start is with Temperate here, but RIX able to get a trade.
Does Sergio know that this player is here on the right? I don't know if he actually saw him cross. Okay.
He was pinging. He was pinging the positions a moment ago. So he's continuing to ping right there. He knows. He knows.
They're just staring him down. Oh, God. This could be a bit of an awkward scenario for that Killjoy. Just going to stay on that angle. Should guarantee them a kill. But Josh is walked all the way up into market. Rex going to get a revive off. They're not going to expect Josh close on the right here. Rex manages to find the second kill. That's 3 for Rex in this round and a revive.
Meanwhile, Sergio has missed out there towards the B main position. Will start to lean in a bit more aggressively, knowing the Shifty has made his way out. Pegasus also pushing up towards spawn. This round should be over here for Temperate. Unless they find this pick and just storm the A site for it, pick up that spike and just commit. This is going to be such a difficult fight back from the offensive side of things. 30 seconds.
30 seconds left.
Pegasus has heard the player on the left here knife. They were knifing the wall, giving away their position with audio cues. So Pegasus, if they do want to greed to kind of deny that economy for Temperate, they could go for it.
I don't think they're going to try and push anything, though. The spike's out towards mid, now detected by the defensive side. Stokesy set in, ready for the exits, and they're going to go charging forward. Paranoia perfect.
Beautiful.
Stokesy's so blind. Shifty left alone. Can't even get a trade. All 5 alive there for RIX Static as they claim 8.
Not going to get anything out of that round at all there, Temperate. And what a round from Rex. I think got to highlight that player there.
Absolutely.
Finding the triple kill, managing somehow to find the kill onto Josh, not expecting them to be in market, as well as getting that revive off on to their teammates. So a star round from them. They're up to 16 kills now. We saw Temperate doing so well, leading the pack by quite a long way with the KDAs. But now, RIX Static, 2 players on 16. A couple of players close behind, and Serginho on that operator still on the defense. Pretty dangerous. Also has the tour de force if they ever run out of money. Going forwards with the op. That is a bold play.
He's gone aggressive quite a number of times here for RIX Static, though not too shocking. And he might find a player right around that corner. The real aggression comes in towards the mid control, though. Josh reading the default setups for the defensive side, but again, it's going to get caught by those knives. Slow orbs coming out as well. Stokesy looking to bait in the operator. Does Sergino check this? No, he doesn't. Stokesy waits for 2 players to game, but they turn around at the right moment, and RIX find the trades.
That could have gone way, way worse for RIX. They are very lucky that second sheriff shot did not connect with the head there. That could have been 12 rounds for Temperate.
And those 2 kills as well could have meant the advantage to turn back to the favour of the Temperate side. A thrifty steal on Pegasus, now sandwiched between attacking players. I think Shifty's well aware of what's going on here. We'll put the turrets out. Try to challenge onto this individual, regain control, but no, overwhelmed. Now they must be aware of what's going on here on the RIX Static side. Temperate is going to, again, knife them away, look for information, and just go for the spike plant.
All 4 of them coming through this A-long position. I don't think Temperate is going to expect... They're going to be constant... Every time they kill one of these long players, they're going to be checking all the other angles, trying to find where the rest of the players are coming from. They're actually reading this. They've checked pretty much everything. But how are they going to hold it?
Stemmy's going to get smoked off. Force forward as Dutch actually catches one. Was that a wallbang somehow? Rex definitely killed off in that one. Lou with a trade back. Shock dart in against Peter. Won't be able to do much. Try to get the kill. And now going to burst through the doorway. They want to defuse. They want to spike the fuse. Got to find Pegasus desperately, but no. Just too tentative there from Dutchy, losing his backup and ultimately losing the round.
I don't think Dutchy heard the tap on the bomb, so wasn't getting too quick to knock down that door. But yeah, RIX really closing that gap down to 2 rounds. A lot of ultimates up at the moment, though. This is going to be... well, quite an intense one if I wanted to bet on it, because of course Stampy K ult's going to be able to come out. Lou, Pegasus both with ults up. Serginho as well. Doesn't really need to use it, of course, has the operator already. Shifty on the attack. If they can get into a good position with that killjoy, they may be able to force those players out on B. And I guess RIX doesn't really have any deny. They don't have that Sova to pop that Hunter's Fury, so they're going to have to just, go through these lockdowns. They're not going to do much against it. So I think it's on to Shifty here to pop a very good killjoy. And we'll see if that lockdown can give them a round after so long without.
Great placement of the slow orbs, and again they'll send the howlers out. Rex boosted up on a high position, trying to watch out for first contact. Jiggle peeking, but they start the push forward. One ultimate popped here for the Temperate side. Josh will try and make their way in. As well as that, they've got the lockdown coming in. They try driving them away from the site. Backed up to the back corner. Peter sprays through blind. Rex will get caught, but Lou with a double up. Massive sequence to come through, and lockdown also gets destroyed here. Rix regain control. Dutchy tagged up. Lou blind fires, and there can be that shock dart in against them. But Sergino there with the headhunter gets shifty. Stokesy chimes in. Dutchy goes down, and Stokesy is all that remains. A spike in the center of the site, not planted. A 1v3 clutch, and now he's slowed, he's suppressed and all. Rick's going to count for this position.
40 seconds on the clock, and looks like they're going to opt
saving.
to wrap. Wow, might absolutely, yeah, just going to save. I was hoping he might go for it, go around that CT position, but it does look like it will be a save, especially with only 25 on the clock. Just sit back, relax. And another round for Rix, and they're now up to double digits, Jay. Just 1 round behind. After a 7-0 start for Temperate, what a comeback we are seeing. Rix and Temperate both could close out this game. Temperate, they've managed to pull a few off in the attacking half. It's been a few in a row for Rix now. But I'm confident in both teams here. Rix did pick it. So realistically, they've got to win it, because map 2 could be even closer.
Static continue to be more fluid than one might expect. Temperate now only lead by a single round. RIX have grinded this comeback from as far back as 7-0, really.
Yeah.
Remember, that was a scoreline for Temperate. Flawless in the first part of this map up, but RIX have really, really grinded their gears.
Yeah, they're up
with
six
in a row. Yeah, I was going to say, like, they're one away from doing onto Temperate what Temperate did unto them. And what a way it would be not only to do that, but to deny map point all the way forward here. Pistols pulled out for the attacking forces. Might take this as a bit of a giveaway and give up those 7 in a row to go to the guns and try and get map point from there.
We see the pop going to come on through as Temperate going to go through this smoke, check the corners, don't see anything, but they still haven't made any noise. So Pegasus might not be expecting so many players to walk on through.
Oh, wonderful sequence. They were looking down as well. They were expecting the alarm bot to be out there. A couple of trades attempted from Temperate, but nothing major. Pegasus with the triple, and Dutchy left alone.
Another situation where Temperate just getting absolutely slaughtered. They didn't have much in the way of a buy there, so it's kind of expected. But now the score lines are even. Didn't think we'd see this. You know, I thought there was potential for a comeback, but 11-11. Very, very tight.
We were saying like 7-0, it's like, oh, this is decimating. RIX are not in good form. At 84 half, we were just like, well, there's a good chance the Temperate could take this pretty easy in about 5 rounds. But then they only got 3 of those 5 rounds. Yeah. They haven't gained 1 since that point.
It's a bit of a very, well, it's a very rough first half for RIX.
Yeah.
But then they have just copied what Temperate done. They've gone 7-0 in the latter half, you know, the last 7 rounds. Haven't dropped anything, and I think now it's very much on Temperate to feel. Even though the scorelines are even, Temperate is feeling the pressure. They are not able to crack these sites from under RIX's watchful gaze.
Knives out to suppress. They're very aware of the main default coming in from the Temperate side. They might even have pushed forward out towards B main to get that information here. A lot of noise being made as they will put fragments in towards Wine that will, of course, force them away. Dutchy with the Owl drone will start to peek forward, and they will start to make their way in. Dash forward. Peter, caught, blinded, stunned, looks for the kill. Stempy, however, with a trade. Pegasus on site. Has Sojina with the operator. Back up to him in a 3-on-3. They have driven the defensive line back, so they can go for the spike plant here.
3-on-3. This is the best shot Temperate's had in a very long time of actually securing around it. Oh, he's behind. RIX might not know.
They've also got Nightfall out here in the offensive. Shifty, counter flank against RIX, Sajino's core. Lou, however, on the center of the site, gets the first and the second. Chance available, 1v1. Haunt's been destroyed. He has an inkling as where Shifty's going to be, though. Catches off the burst fire, can't get a kill. 70 HP versus 100. Whipped around the corner, desperately looking for the headshot. 35 seconds, and Lou has a bit of time to play with, but ultimately it will start running down on him in the end. Just can't see anything. Finally, the angle's gained, and the headshot's found as well. Lou with a triple, a clutch that gets RIX to map point.
A 1v3 from Lou, an absolutely bonkers performance from that player to put the team that was down 7-0 at the start to be the first team to reach match point. 12-11 up right now. Every chance that Temperate could push it to OT, but RIX, 8 in a row. They are looking unstoppable right now, and Temperate in no position to hold them off. A Guardian and a Spectre in their arsenal right now.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable for Lou. Handing out the law.
Absolutely beautiful from that Fade player. 17-13 right now. Looking super, super impressive. And RIX might be about to pick up map 1.
That is the kind of play that will crush momentum and crush mentality here. They know it. Pegasus already found. Hunter's Fury going to come out from the attacking side as Pegasus tries to get the hell out of dodge. Might still get caught by some damage. Ultimately alive at 86. Trying to counteract with a smoke. Seeing Peter up high. Gets Josh. Spray through from Stempy and Toxie. Only getting 1 kill. Pegasus undetected towards the back corner. Sajino also holds his line in the front corner himself. A double upheld for 13-11. And RIX from the 7-0 deficit will pull back map 1.
That is quite impressive to see, Jay. I've not seen something like that in a while. 7-0 down to end the half, 8-4, and then come back with a very impressive nine rounds in a row, pretty much there. Beautiful stuff to see from RIX, and speaks, I think, to their level. You know, going down that much and still having the mental fortitude to bring the game back the full distance. You know, 13-11. We played every single round of the regular time there, and they did what a wonderful job they did do. That's our top seed, of course.
I mean, yeah, against the second seed of Temperate. Temperate definitely had their number throughout the course of that matchup. However, that was still an absolute banger and a close affair. And the end result is just a classic, essentially, in this best of three in this series that will continue along down that particular path for me, because I feel like map 2 and 3, they could be just as close.
I think that there's every chance they could be just as close. Of course, hopefully Temperate is not, they don't let the wind fall out their sails. They just had a very close game where they almost clinched it, and they certainly could have been looking at OT there with a couple of those rounds going a different way. Map 2, they've still, there's still potentially 2 maps left of this series. They should be fully confident in themselves. They put up a very good performance there on Ascent. They're now going on to their map pick. It could be very easily a banging 3-map series.
Oh, I hedged my bets it's going to be a 3-map series, and we'll have to take a look at that 3-map series after this short break, so do not go anywhere as we roll on with our second map between RIX and Temperate. And welcome back to Epic Land. We're getting into our second map up between RIX and Temperate. RIX managed to take it 13-11 over on the first map of Ascent. Now Haven is up next. And considering how close that one was, Hanno, I can imagine this one will be just as close right here.
Certainly, as long as Temperate haven't kind of deflated, haven't kind of, you know, well, again, as I said before the break, if the wind is still in their sails, this should be great for them. Because obviously Haven, it's their pick. They should be feeling even more confident here than they may have done on Ascent and RIX. We don't know necessarily how much they play of Haven, if it's one of their stronger maps. And so hopefully this should be an opportunity for Temperate, who looked incredibly good on that defensive side of Ascent, to continue that and potentially actually pick up a map here. And then map 3, Bind. Who knows?
Honestly, I think we're going to Bind. Like, just considering how close that first map was on its own, even if it was the case that we had it on the other side and that was the Temperate map pick, and I could still see them being able to try and back in and take this one as well. Because again, these two teams are our top 2 seeds. You could arguably see this as the grand final as well here, Hannah.
Yeah.
So we are talking about a match that we could be seeing repeated over the course of the weekend. So we got a lot of potential action which could go down between these two teams, and obviously a matchup that could just be absolutely a banger from here on out. And already it was a banger in that first one. Yeah. I was hoping for a bit more of a back and forth kind of banger, but at the end of the day, you can't deny the comeback from RIX. That was pretty epic stuff from them.
Yeah, the fact that first off we opened up with that 7-0 from the side of Temperate, and then RIX copied that and improved on it. Yeah. Closed with an 8 or even a 9-0, I think it was.
Yeah, it would have been a 9-0 right.
Towards the end. So clearly these teams, well, I mean, again, both of those were on the defensive side, so maybe it speaks a bit to like the difference in these teams basically being who starts on the defense, because they were able to chain so many rounds together. Could be something to do with that. But of course, Haven, very different. You could argue very well, I think, that it's a little bit more attacker-sided with those 3 bomb sites, a little bit too much to defend, a lot of tight angles that you can play around, especially on B. There's a potential here for the attacking side to be even stronger. So hopefully these teams, they've got good attacks as well. They're planning well here for Haven. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can come up with. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, Bind will be coming on up.
Well, I've just noticed something, actually. We've got our vetoes wrong, mate. Because,
oh, my goodness.
Temperate actually were the ones that picked Ascent. RIX decided to go towards the Haven pick.
We were told wrong.
We were told wrong.
We were Blame product. No, yes.
Blame Liz.
That changes things. That changes things quite significantly.
It does, because now we've got RIX taking their opponent's map pick down to the wire. Now they go to their own comfort territory in Haven, and you wonder whether or not things could start to be affected by that as a result. For me, I look at this and I think to myself that there is an opportunity now for a much more one-sided affair, in argument's sake. I still think it can be close, though. Again, these two teams, blow for blow, back and forth, comebacks, one-sided affairs that will turn into comebacks. There's so much over on the side of this RIX camp, and so much also on the side of Temperate, that you can expect this one to still be a close affair.
It could still be a close one, but the fact that Temperate lost their own map pick, that's got to be disappointing for them. And going into Haven, we don't know necessarily how confident they are on Haven. Maybe they were gambling on winning map 1, throwing away map 2, and then winning it all on Bind. We don't know the minds of the players. You know, we'll have to ask them later tonight when we talk to them. But yeah, I mean, RIX picking up the opposite team's map pick, now going into their own map pick. They got to be feeling over the moon right now. They are on form to pick this up and go to the latter rounds of the upper bracket. They are, well, in a very strong position, and it's all, I think, all the pressure very much on Temperate here to show us something very impressive here on Haven.
Indeed. So I'm also being told, by the way, apparently this is not the RIX map pick. So we've actually been informed.
So the graphics was wrong.
Incorrectly once again. So
we were right the first time.
We were right the first time.
We said the last 3 minutes.
Yes, exactly. That's a completely irrelevant analytical point. But that does mean that once again, in theory basis, we still have a close series and still a close map on our hands. And I am hoping that Temperate do manage to clap back and take a map above RIX, because I want this to be a 3-map affair. This deserves to be a 3-map affair in my opinion, and it would set things up for a great 3-mapper in in the grand finals as well, if that's what we see from Temperate.
It's very likely, you sort of alluded to earlier, that the grand finals will be a repeat of this upper bracket round.
Yes.
Of course, someone has to go to the lower bracket because I believe it's Temperate didn't top their group. So they came in here as
so what it
second
is that on the bracket we currently have number 1 and 2 seed taking each other on, and number 3 and 4 seed taking each other on. By all accounts, that should be 1 and 4 and 2 and 3 against taking each other on. But because Temperate missed out the top spot of the group by like 5 round difference,
very close.
It meant that they ended up dropping into the 3rd seed of the bracket. Or the 4th seed of the bracket, rather, I should say. So, in terms of that obviously means that RIX are taking them on in a much earlier position by comparison. And that really has been the defining factor for this Temperate side. It's probably that group stage result could lead to their demise here in the upper bracket.
Yeah, again, if they hadn't lost or it had even won a few more of those rounds and got that round a bit higher, and they had taken maybe 2nd or even 1st seed in their group, then they could have gone through an upper bracket run on the opposite side to RIX and met in that upper bracket final and then gone for the drop down and into the grand final. But of course, not the case, But anything can happen in groups. 7 best of ones, I believe they played for the group stage, which again, it's a long day. Anything can happen. Losing a couple of rounds here or there, you don't realise in the moment. But messing those up can mess up your standings towards the end of the day. So unfortunate for them.
Small mistakes. Very small mistakes at the end of the day. Like that seems to be the difference when it comes to Epic Land. We talked very much about how brutal the format can be at times, especially in the group stage, obviously with best of ones, and how the tiebreakers work and everything. So in that sort of like line of things, I do look at the at things and I understand why we've found ourselves in this position in the first place. And ultimately, like, mistakes are going to be the ultimate factor to watch out for in this matchup, because you could argue that with 2 teams being as solid as they are, who's going to make the most mistakes and who's going to punish the most of mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, it's very much in a LAN environment. You have a lot of other factors that, especially in a lot of the online events these teams have been playing in, you're not going to have those factors. So the noise, the heat, your desk height, everything like this, it all contributes to just making a few more mistakes on the day. You might have pracked for hundreds of hours in preparation for coming into Epic to win all those lovely beacon points that are on offer. But at the end of the day, you're not going to really know how you're going to play until you come in here, you sit down next to your teammates on whatever setup you've managed to get here and play the best you can. And those little mistakes, unfortunately, do happen. So. Don't be too harsh on themselves, for maybe falling short a couple of times in the group stage.
Indeed. Well, as of right now, we are waiting for a small issue to be resolved down in the LAN hall. Apparently, there is a possibility in which some of the screens could be seen, because those who don't know how the BYOC LAN hall is set up, basically, it's like rows on rows of PCs. So sometimes when certain teams play each other, they can potentially see information like flashes or just information just by like looking over and seeing who's over in the next row over. So we have to basically put up some like blanking screens to try and ensure that doesn't end up happening. So it's just a competitive integrity thing. The admins are downstairs currently sorting that out at the moment. So we'll get that resolved. Obviously, we want the highest competitive integrity possible here at Epic Land. So we'll take that moment to just talk about the series a bit more as a result while we get that in place over for the players themselves.
Talk about the other series going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't have much of an update for Jokers versus Gladius.
Gladius, that's the one.
I was going to say Gadalians, but that's not
very different, very different.
So Gladius, Gadalians, and now Gladiators. So I always take a look at the GDS tag, and that's all I confuse it with. And I only Gladiators, because at the last LAN, Gladius were playing, and we were doing the whole "Do you have the power of the Gladius?" thing, and now I'm just like Gladiators. Now there you go.
Oh no.
So we haven't got any information on that series just yet, but I imagine that we might have an update for you when this one is over. Meanwhile, in the lower bracket, we have already said goodbye to some teams over the course of the day. The Goose House beat out Bold Buff. We saw them yesterday lose out to the RIX side. Prince under 18s beat out Tabla Rasa, and so they'll also be out in the early stage of the bracket. We had a victory over from Dobby's Defenders, beating out the Pablos Kittens. Wow. Yes. I'm a professional commentator, ladies and gentlemen. I can definitely do that. And meanwhile, the CSGG Academy, the side that did so well in their group stage run and had a decent opportunity as like a decent dark horse, also went out in last place to the gates. So not quite an amazing time for the CSGG Academy side. But the main CSGG team actually managed to defeat the Dobby's Defenders in the next round of the tournament. So at least they have that, as well as Eco beating out the under 18 side. So they continue on, and they will be waiting in the lower consolation matches for the victors of the Goose House House versus Cognizant match.
That's going to be a close game, I think.
The Legates versus, let me see if I can bring this up properly.
Pink Fluffy Unicorns, I believe.
Pink Fluffy Unicorns, yes. So
another strong team, very strong mix, Pink Fluffy Unicorns. Lear, King Hans, already talked about them a little bit, but yeah, definitely one to keep an eye out for. Definitely could be pushing for that sort of top 4, top 5 position, I reckon.
Well, those matches are currently ongoing in the lower bracket right now, so just to give you an update as how things are playing out right now here in our bracket play. Yeah, I mean, look, right now we're finding out the right place, the right teams are the right places for my money here.
Yeah, I think so. We haven't got any crazy teams that are sitting up in that upper bracket still alive that we weren't necessarily expecting. And down in that lower bracket as well, the teams that are winning are the teams that I'm expecting to win. Goose House, relatively new team. You know, I don't think they've done that many events together. They've looked pretty good. They're beating the teams they're meant to beat. I believe they should be being Cognizant, but it's going to be a tough next couple of games for them down the lower bracket. And the same for CSGG, you know, hopefully they can go on to great things, because I think they just lost to Temperate, wasn't it? That's how Temperate got into this series here. So losing to Temperate, I believe it was 2-1 from what I saw downstairs. So they could also be pushing for a good score. I'm not sure who they're playing in the lower bracket. Who did we...
CSGG.
Yeah, who are they playing?
They're playing the winner of the Pink Fluffy Unicorns versus the Gates matchup.
Oh, CSGG versus PFU. That could be a... Legates, I suppose, could make it, but could be another interesting matchup of the day.
Actually, it's Pink Fluffy Unicorns that they'll be facing right now, so we got that update in a moment ago. So, yeah. CSGG up against Pink Fluffy Unicorns.
That'll be a good game to watch. I mean, I don't think it's going to be on cast. I think the next one is
no. So the way we're working it right now is we're just on the stream. We're covering the upper bracket. So this match will be the semi-final we cover, and then we'll move on to the finals, in which the victor of this series will take on the winner of Jokers versus Gladius. Yes. Again, I was going to say God Alliance. That's the wrong one. But yeah, so the victors of those particular matches will be up on stream next up, and then we'll also continue to move into the lower bracket for the best of 3 matches. Particularly, I believe the lower finals is where we'll be looking at things. So basically, we're going to follow these teams throughout the lower bracket, and the loser of the final it will be also be played on the stream tonight as well.
Yeah, of course, the lower final, and then whoever wins that up to the grand final. So
yep,
that's how lower bracket works.
Tomorrow's big grand final to close out the weekend and close out the penultimate Beacon event as well. So a lot to look forward to in the next 2 days.
Yeah, I mean the points from this event could be, well, it could change a lot about those standings, because I believe it is definitely static on top right now with the most points, and they're in a good position to pick up quite a few in this weekend, this event. And there's a few other teams in there also that aren't too far behind. So we'll have to see how the final point scores do roll on out. I believe some of the points may also come through the inter-tournament, so I hope a lot of the teams as well are partaking in that if they're looking for their Beacon points as well.
I don't think there's an inter-tournament, actually.
I think it's called Inters on the tournament site, but it might be just like 9th or 16th. They seem to have some points assigned for that. So hopefully teams are... when they lose here, of course, because in the lower bracket at the moment, it's just best of ones. If they lose those best of ones, they are
then
out.
They go
and so there's an opportunity potentially to go into Inters and try and get those sort of 9th to 16th spots and secure those Beacon. I think it's about 45 Beacon points for 9th spot. So nothing to like shake your head at here. Again, winner gets 200. So every point's useful in an event like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously for the likes of RIX, for example, they are a team that you look at the most as seeing that they want those points more than anybody else, because they are currently 4th or 5th on the table, actually. They just moved up a place.
Tier.
Yeah, they are the highest tier. They're currently 5th overall on the overall Beacon table. And those points here at this event are going to be very, very important. So a series victory like this, a victory in this particular match, and a run through this upper bracket is going to be vitally important to a team like RIX. So far, they have been tested so far today. So I'm wondering if it's going to be quite as smooth sailing as maybe they hoped it to be, or maybe that we expected it to be here. This match definitely has been proof of that, and obviously the previous series going to overtime as well at one point is also proof of that. So I kind of have to wonder, are RIX really in shape today to be able to do what they need to do?
I think it's an interesting question. They definitely came into this event. I think they were confident. They were definitely thinking that those 200 points, you know, it's up for grabs, right? Because there's what, four teams above them, I believe, in the Beacon score.
Yes.
Leaderboards at the moment.
Kamek, Unsigned, Only Fins, and AW3
are not here.
Yes.
At this particular event, so it's their opportunity to really make leaps and bounds in progress towards. I think if they were to win this entire event, they go up to 3rd position. Very, very high scoreline for them to achieve. A lot of other teams hoping for similar position jumps as well. But yeah, they certainly are kind of the expected champions. But with how close those games have been, and you said they had OT before, they've had just that very, very close game we saw against Temperate. Who knows what could happen next?
We're about to find out what's going to happen next as we're finally ready to get into Haven. Again, our screen issues have been resolved and we're ready to jump into the matchup. Let's take a look at these Asian picks. Hanno, break it down for me.
Well, we are going to be on Haven, so I think we're going to see a little bit more attacker-sided comps as Rex moving off that Sage, as we saw there on the Ascent, over on towards that Razor. Lovely entry agent, and that, of course, means over on the other side, Josh, who we previously saw on the Jet, going to be on the Raze as well. Very, very strong here on Haven. Shifty picking up the Cypher. It's not something I actually see very often, especially on Haven, but perhaps they're going for kind of a solo Sentinel hold towards that A site with that Cypher. Something like that could work. Yet again, we're seeing the Astra for Temperate and the Omen for RIX. Maybe it's just a personal preference thing for these controllers, but you would usually expect Omen to be the kind of S-tier controller at the moment on Haven.
Well, certainly for Haven, like you take a look at Omen, you think about how quickly you can rotate from like C to A, for example, right? And you think about that whole opportunity there available for the attacking side, especially, right? If you fake C and take the spike up to like A Heaven, for example, like that's just an easy way in. If there's nobody holding that position, they've rotated back and they've drawn attention away. So you can play some very sneaky tactics with that. Similar story, I guess, with the I was going to probably with the Sova if they have it, because you can basically take that to Hunter's Fury across the map. But that not going to happen in this particular matchup. It's something me and John were talking about yesterday when it comes to Haven. Like, there's a lot of fun things that you can do with this map up, and something that the defensive forces will have to struggle against. It will be RIX starting things off on the defensive side, though. So their moment to shine in this one.
One thing to quickly point out as well, Dutchy's moved off that Sova onto the Sky. Very, very strong initiator there. Now, of course, as well, we do see the Breach come out from Stempy. I would say Breach incredibly strong on Haven.
Yes.
A lot of these sightlines on this map can be very easily abused when you've got the flashes, the rolling thunder as well. I forget the name of Breach's E now. I don't remember it. But whatever it's called, very, very long, concusses the players that fall inside of it. You can really abuse that towards this A long position, and even going into that B side to clear some of those angles to like sort of, you can run past the angles because the player's going to be concussed. Really, really strong utility. And if Stempy can use that well, I think this is a good chance for Temperate to strike back at RIX, who sort of stole the map of Ascent from underneath them.
Well, let's get going in for this one. Temperate into the pistol round. You've got Josh initially leaning in against the hard stack in towards that B side. Ooh. Pulling out the pistol at the wrong moment and gets the dink off, but Rex gets the kill, stays alive barely. There is a little bit of fragments being posted out there by Peter's position. Now flanked in from both sides. They try and storm that C side. Dutchy will be temporarily slowed, and Sergino has no vision at all. Running into the cyber cage. The plant should be secured. Two players hunting for these individuals and setting up for the retake here on the RIX side. Very quickly in as well. Reload's caught off, Spike down. Now they just pour utility out to the site itself. Tag them so low. Dutchy and Stokesy still get those kills. Rex with a back turn towards Stempy. Sergino trades back, looking for the triple again for the clutch, but doesn't quite hold it together. The pistol goes the way of Temperate.
Yeah, well, thanks to Stempy there in that 1v1, doing huge work on that breach. Doesn't even need the utility to have a strong impact. 2-0 from that player. So Genio and Rex, yet again, two of the star players I want to say from Ascent, having a great time, and then Rex when they moved on over to the defense, putting up a similar level of performance. But yet again, I think Temperate's won every pistol in this series so far, so you would expect the rest of its half to go pretty well if they can secure the next couple of rounds. And see if they're any decent on those routes. So looking like to get very aggressive towards his middle position. Does have the Headhunter in hand. No one aggressing, so might be to get into an awkward spot under the window. Josh taking contact, but will fall off.
A decent paintshell damage to two individuals at the RIX static side. Sergino, though, has found an aggressive line and will try walk it here. Does he continue? There's a tripwire right there and everything. Got to be careful about giving away too much information. Josh now known the kill found against Rex, but this is so unbelievably perfect.
How?
2 to 5, perfect headshot. Shifty and Dutchy had not a clue.
Stempy will find Lou now, and that is a beautiful round from Static to at least get down to a 3v3. Temperate have responded with that individual kill there, and it looks like both teams heading to complete opposite sides of the map. Stokesy with the spike, going to be heading up towards C, and they should be able to get very easy plant here. Static might actually be opting to save some of those SMGs if they lose another player here, because keeping those alive and then not having to buy necessarily those Vandals next round, fighting against this bonus, could be an optimal play.
Covering off all positions here, the spike should go down. The retake might come through from RIX static. They go with this. Josh seeming to push forward ahead of the smokes Out towards that winner position, adjustment towards Sergino. Sergino still gets the triple, but Stempy there for the quick trade. Backing up Josh in this case to a 2-on-2. Now it's Stempy and Stokesy ready for RIX to make their way in. Pistols in hand, they've done their damage to the Temperate side. And now all start to push forward, but so far away. Now forced to make their moves in. Still just pistols versus the automatics, the Spectres in particular against them. Spray through from Stokesy, Stempsy gets the triple, and the attacking side winning their second round.
I just want to say how that chamber got behind. So I believe there was a Cypher tripwire from Temperate in the window position, but Cypher got tagged elsewhere on the map by the KO 0 point, which obviously turns off all the traps, and that meant there was a small gap where Sergino was able to just completely go through the window undetected. Everyone assumed like, oh, there's a tripwire. They don't need to watch window. The setup isn't even focused on looking window. They've got that Cypher tripwire there doing the job for them. Just didn't realize Sergino gets behind, gets a couple of kills, and although they don't secure the round off of it, kills is always useful toward denying that economy.
Knives in already to catch the Temperate side off as RIX try and take their weapons into play. They've got the Vandals broken in by Sergino. Josh, of course, with the paint shells towards that B site again so early into the entry. Satchels to go very far aggressive and flanking towards C. They might not even have a clue that he's inbound. Spray through on Pegasus indeed. The kill's found so easy, and Peter going to get caught for it. Forced out of the way by Utility, and 2 kills return for Temperate. Another 5-on-3 situation.
That speaks to the familiarity that Josh and the side of Temperate have with this map. This is obviously their pick, so they're expecting them to know a few more bits and pieces about how to play it. And that lovely bit of movement towards the back of that C site going through B means that those RIX defenders caught completely off guard, and Temperate now in the 4-on-2. Lou and Sergino left alive. 2 strong players that have pulled off their own number of clutches, but I don't think it's going to happen this time as Josh Honey in the corner will secure the final kill. And Temperate 3-0, and I don't want to say yet, but I think we're going to see a repeat almost of what we saw in Map 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a very similar start to how things went down over on Ascent, and I'm not sure what that means for this map up. In theory, it could lead the same way as the 7-0 brought back to 11-13. It could also mean Temperate are just this dominant right now on the attacking side. RIX certainly feeling the hurt in the early game on this one. They were the ones that were making the fuss about the screens, obviously, and then, again, makes sense given all things considered. But the momentum in the early extra break that they had might have actually broken them overall. Satchel's in from Josh again, but Sergino has the tour de force and puts him down with an instant.
Yeah, it's good movement, but not quite able to hide from the tour de force, as you say. Shifting to go in through with the dog, but it's not going to be very much. The Trailblazer gets destroyed. Dutchy going to flash on through. There's 2 players set up here, and Dutchy finds 1, not able to secure the second.
Paranoia with a decent placement of the fragment, also keeping suppressed here. Peter doing to hold his own here in the 4 versus 4. The headshots coming so close, but the kill's not quite there. Lou now revealed, tapping desperately, trying to dish out some damage. They are aware of where they're all at. The plant will be secured though, and in the 2 versus 4 situation, it's really only the tour de force to dish out the damage here.
Again, you can't carry the tour de force into the next round, so realistically you want to make the most use of it you can, do as much economy damage as you can, because as it is an ultimate ability, it will disappear. You won't get to keep it. So Sergino at least should be looking to do some damage here, even if we see the fade. I want to say it is tagged out. Flashed off, and Dutchy gets both. That's a 4K for Dutchy. And Temperate, as you say again, it's almost a repeat. They're up 4-0. They've won the initial rifle round where they were playing with those SMGs, and now they should be able to follow it up here again, as this will be another buy out from RIX.
Guns in, the Vandals out. Of course, the tour de force was brought in because they couldn't really get any guns, and I mean it sucks for Sergino that they only really got 1 kill with it. But great combination with the spy cam and a flash there from the Cypher and co. It's well placed again to spot the info, tag up, flash over, get the 2 kills. Well, great placement, and again, solid stuff from the defensive line. They press the issue here in the Temperate camp, fast into the B site. Again, nobody's out here. Paint shells and smokes will keep them suppressed. Spike should get planted pretty easy.
Oh, a swing out from Josh, just find 1. But Lou will get the trade.
Right there.
Hold the line for the time being, will slow things the hell down as they continue pressing forward here on the Temperate side of things. Where does the spike get planted towards the back corner? It seems like Stempy does get 1. Oh, Sergino lines up a triple. Thought he was going to isolate them piece by piece. Is now paranoid as he leans in against Dutchy. On for the quadra, and he's turned away at the wrong time. Once again, RIX's MVP steps up for their first round.
What a beautiful play. You pointed them out before even the first map started, and at that they are showing 11 and 4. The rest of their team combined has 4 kills, Jay, and Sajino is 11 and 4. What an absolute bonkers round from them. And Static deny Temperate chaining any more rounds together as we start to see a more normal side play out with Static picking up round 5. Whew, what a round.
Yes.
I mean,
I'm still a little bit shaken by that, because in an instant it all turned the way of the RIX side, thanks to Sajino's efforts. Peter forced away from the window as Josh leans in, sees the boom bot, got the paint shells coming down. They've also brought in the showstopper. Rex has mistimed this though, because Temperate are going to walk back in. No, they're going to recharge forward and Josh will get punished for it. They're going to press the issue further, however. Rex holds the line. Dutchy dealt with, back out of the corner, back at the site. Paint shells can be held. Peter also provides support, and Rolling Thunder will try and force them out of the way. Stokesy gets those 2 kills to a 2-on-2 as a result here. The spike can get planted, and Static is slow to the rotate.
Both of them going to be coming through this CT area. They are forced off. No Nebulas left, I don't believe. For Stokesy. Does get the Astral Wall down. This is huge. And they can't quite find the pick onto Stempy at the back of sight. So Lou here going to want to walk through. It's going to be an awkward one, but finds both.
Wonderful. Wonderful stuff from Lou. Perfect timing. Was peeking alongside Sajino. And would have provided a bit of support, but it was all Lou in that case. And it felt so awkward because when you saw that Cosmic Divide coming out, they panicked, swung, tried to get the kill before they had been siphoned away from the site itself, but they weren't able to do so. It was going to get dicey on confidence basis, but now they found their own. And RIX, they're coming back into this matchup already.
I mean, you think they'd almost have the info, because when the Cosmic Divide came down, of course, Stempy was being shot from that backside position. So I'm not sure why neither player was looking there in that afterthought, maybe trying to get away and hoping they wouldn't push through the Cosmic Divide, as you say, and get towards maybe that garage position. But yeah, RIX, they chained 2 together. Much more even Stevens game, it's seeming like here. And Luke going to not get any info there, as Josh is already through. So you did spot the leg. And we should see Temperate again. They've gone back to this kind of slow style that we saw a bit on Ascent, where they're just not taking the early fights. They had a bit of a change of pace from the last few rounds, which is nice to see. When a team really dictates the pace like this, it shows a bit of control over the game.
Slow prods in from RIX and Temperate. They have got Rex trying to find an angle to work with in Garage. Won't be able to do so right now. Dutchy moving further forward with the nades out once again. The smokes are in. They should be able to get access to the B site. All split their way into A. Lou being spotted right here and now. They will send out the spray downs, get the 2 kills with the ultimates also to combine. Sergino caught now, forced away. Sprays through, continue for Temperate, and they refine the confidence.
Yeah, 5-on-2 now. This is pretty much a done deal, Jay, and I think they're going to go on the hunt. They're happy with their guns, and they want to deny Static any of theirs. And good to see from Temperate getting back in the swing. We kind of saw such large swings in momentum from the teams over on Ascent. But now here on Haven, we're starting to see teams trade a bit. A couple rounds here for RIX, 3 in a row for Temperate, now a couple more maybe on the side of Temperate. Good to see a little bit more of a close battle between those fights, because we saw in the last map that kind of the defending side always just had so much money. It's really onus on the attackers to try and break them. Very, very challenging, especially on a map such as Ascent.
Rex leaning in, spray through, Stokesy trades, and Temperate now reduce Static to just 1 player. Pegasus might even get hunted. Oh, good spray! Stokesy wins the fight. And indeed, that is another good round for the Temperate side to break the 2-round comeback start for RIX. They're back into full control.
Full control. Pegasus having a bit of a rough game at the moment and has opted in to the Bucky. Temperate 5-2 up, and just to clarify as well, if anyone was watching the pre-game we were talking, this is Temperate's map pick. There was a little bit of a confusion. We got mixed messages, but this is Temperate's map pick, so we would obviously expect them to do well. But Haven, again, it's a map where the attacking side is kind of favoured a lot of the time. So don't want to call the shots too early. Shifty getting a little bit of fire through their own cage, and a lot of mid-presence from Static. They've now fallen back, and they're heading over to stack this A site.
Yeah, straight in. Should see that spike plant coming in relatively soon. They have got a lot of resistance around the outside of the site for Static. Stokesy might catch some of those lurkers, or looks away from Rex at the wrong moment alongside Peter's kill to get the 5-on-3 advantage for Static. Spike will go down. Stempy is sat in dark. TP could be available as well, as they do get found out here. Pegasus to lean forward, and Dutchy will also get caught off. Suppressed on the Temperate side here. They're sending further utility to try to track them down. We'll know where Shifty is. Stempy with the kill to return fire. Dutchy to double up to a 3 versus 3, make it 2. Ooh. Stempy able to deal with Sergino. Lou with the trade back, and now it's all left to this one player. 5 HP, no way that they can get the revive in. Caught off by the fault lines as well, and surely should just be forced out with the flashes, the sprays, the kills found with a triple there for Dutchy. And there it is, another round for Temperate.
Temperate looking hot there. Dutchy and Stempy in those after-plant positions, taking down, I think, 3 or 4 players by themselves. Doing some great work, especially Stempy there under the heaven position, knocking down Serginho. And Temperate starting to build a lead that I think, RIX, they've proven that they're sort of on form after the second half of the last map. I want to say, maybe they're not at the level they might want to be. They want to be winning more convincingly. But Temperate putting up a very, very strong attacking side so far. Just 4 rounds left of this half, of course. We'll see how much more Temperate can make of it.
Paint shell sent in, initial contact established. 2 individuals there from the RIX Static side that continue pressing the issue, and again, they just want to try and hunt the Temperate side down. A little bit of util was given away for Dutchy to press forward into the C site. They'll go. Pegasus tries to hold, but Lou gets the kill. Also gets caught off by the fault line at the sidelines. Pegasus lurking in the midst of the smoke. They've also got the showstopper out, and Lou should be dead to rights for it. No, they fired at the wrong place. Josh dead. Shifty trading. Doubles up towards Pegasus as Rex gets over the tripwire. A 3-on-3. Tour de Force also brought in for Sergino, but Rex with the back that they think they're safe. Oh, the burst fire almost cost them. Sergino also chimes in against Shifty. It's all on Stokesy now. Caught by Peter. The late flank lurks in mid, and the defensive side will win another round.
Lovely from Rex to hop on over with the little blast back there. Absolutely no info for Temperate on where that player was, and Rex pick up round 3. Still a couple of ultimates up as well for this side. Temperate burnt pretty much everything they had over the past couple of rounds. Dutchy, Stokesy pretty close to it. And they have managed to wrangle a buy out here, Temperate. It looked a bit sketchy on the money, but Stampy's gone onto the low shields, and they have got Vandals out for everyone.
Lean forward again. Josh so far forward. Going to get caught by the knives again. The satchel charges placed in to try to force them forward into that long control. Desperate to find the opening, but they haven't really given up those kills towards the Static side. They haven't really gone aggressive towards long themselves.
No, they're just sort of tucking in that long area, preparing for some long aggression, which, as we can see, is not going to come out. We see that KO moving over towards the A heaven position. They're playing off-site. They're playing very, very heavily towards the C area with a little bit of B control from the chamber as well with the trap. Whereas Temperate actually could be starting to group up with some kind of an A split. It looks like they want to fake out B maybe with the Astra. And they are going to back off.
Yeah, smokes in, suppress Stokesy and co. Playing a very slow kind of round here, Temperate. RIX not really needing to go ahead and try and commit towards the offensive line either. They'll just sit pretty and wait for the execution. 40 seconds, and the onus is on Temperate here. Yeah,
KO does not have their ultimate available. They don't even have the 0 point up right now, so their only denial is going to be dropping that fragment in the right place. They drop it towards short, but they're smoked off.
Rex, meanwhile, lurking, might get caught off. Indeed, the kill found on Shifty, so advantage tips the way of Static as the spike does get planted. And, of course, the hard rotates will come in a little bit slow from the RIX side. Stokesy continuing to try and put stars down. Tries to press any information that they can. Dutchy bursting through, seeing heads, but unable to get the kills against them. Flashbangs will also come forward against them. Force them back. Paranoia further forward. We've also got the showstopper from the RIX side. Rex to utilize it. Stokesy to the kill. Sergino chiming in with one decent one. Josh out to the center of the site. Sprays alongside Dutchy's crossfire. Sergino trades it back. 1v1. Dutchy comes up with support. And that will be the 7th for Temperate as they take the half.
Another clutch from Dutchy and Stempy. Well, I suppose not. They're always left in the off plant, and they've managed to secure quite a few of them for themselves. Temperate, as you say, pulling up ahead. 2 rounds left of this half. Not a huge amount And RIX hasn't managed to find much at all. Remember, on Haven, on Ascent, it was an 8-4 half, I believe, we ended with Temperate obviously having that big 7-0 run. Now here, it's looking a bit rough for RIX. They'd have to win one of the next 2 rounds, but they don't have a bye here, so this should be done and dusted. Temperate, surely they can't throw this.
Nice attempt at the wallbangs to keep Sergino at bay there for the Temperate side, but it's not going to work. It's a good idea, but he evaded all the crossfire, so the headhunter straight up.
Quite far enough on the right.
Yeah, pretty much. I think the angling doesn't really allow you to go much further along that though, so Gino to press the issue. Might walk into the tripwire. Let's see.
Does know it's there. Must know it's there.
He must know now. Yeah, being careful not to fire away. Doesn't want to reveal position. He won't try and pop out the tripwire either. Just hold the scope in, wait for contact. Shifty's seen him now. They definitely know. Okay, a little bit cheeky, but they have found the counteraction. So Gino is going to get forced back.
I think, yeah, should be absolutely fine to get away. Going to play in the advanced position with that teleport.
Sorry, that was quite comical. It's
yeah,
just like,
the camera was just staring
you see
at
him be
like,
sneaky peeky, just like check position, and it's like on the spy cam. No, hang on a second.
There's clearly a spy cam staring at him. We should have kept a better eye on the map there, Jesus. But yes, no. So Temperate, they know that player pushed up middle, and they've gone, oh, there's literally no one on their side. This is, again, RIX trying to catch them off with just a bunch of pistols running into them from behind. But Temperate looks like they're very well aware of where these players are coming from with those cabbages going on out. Shifty finds 3, looking for the 4th, but Peter will get him. Stokesy drops him, and Temperate in a 4-on-1.
Yeah, Pegasus with the Marshal with not really much left in it for him. Maybe catch a headshot, maybe catch a kill. Unlikely at that though. I don't really. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that you do not count on right now. You do not count on anything to come through at this stage, and even if they do, it's a case of that 1 kill. Is that going to be enough to get the retake? No, is the answer to that question.
No,
so
yeah.
Temperate will stack up to 8-3, and even though it might not have been the 7 rounds in a row like we saw in the last map, the closing half scoreline is still going to be as close to what we saw in that first map as we did. Like, again, RIX could be on for an 8-4 right here. Yeah. Depends on how well the next buy-up goes. Pegasus will try to see if he can get some sort of steal in, but ultimately that's no one there, so don't know what he was trying to do.
Oh, he just basically what he wants to do there is die, because saving the Marshal is actually less money than if you survive the round and don't die, because of course the economy changes based on whether you die before the end of the next round, before the start of the next round. So actually the correct player to go in, die, then they can buy up a Vandal. If they hadn't done that, they would have been stuck with the Marshal, which realistically you do not want to be running, especially in these Vandal stuff. You've got to hit a headshot. It's a tough. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're a bit of a god gamer, Jay, but I can't hit Marshal headshots all the time. You know, maybe you're confident in that.
No.
But yeah, no, 8-3, so Temperate with a chance to go 9-3. Put themselves in a dangerously commanding position that RIX have got to respect. So, you know, being so aggressive towards mid, but no one's trying to punish him at all. We've seen no static plays towards this, Temperate plays towards the middle position to try and get that free pick, potentially. Perhaps they just want to let Sergino do his thing, you know?
This is a nice ruse right here from the Temperate side. They put the Cosmic Divide to indicate they're going towards the C side, but they're not actually going to act towards it. And I think the RIX are starting to get the inkling on this, with Rex again pushing forward, but Stokesy finds the kill instead. So Gino at least found the trade. Now Josh is going to get caught off. Peter flashing forward ahead of the smoke. Sees only 2, gets no kills. Spike Plant will come down, and now they'll look for information on the Temperate side. They'll have the info as to where RIX are rotating in from, Pegasus in particular. Back towards Long. Dealt with. Sergino inbound from Heaven. Does isolate Josh. The spray goes a little bit further awry though, and he goes down, leaving it all to Lou, to the man advantage of Temperate. 3 players up, and surely should be no way in for the RIX. So just continuing to spray down against them, and Dutchy there with the back turned, the kill found, and the 9th round for Temperate.
Lou had a crazy clutch back on Ascent in that 1v3, did a brilliant job to win that one. I think was that to pull Temperate to match point, I believe. So I had some brilliant plays, but the 1v4 there, a little bit too much to ask, I believe, in this situation. But that's the half, as you say. 9-3 Temperate. I didn't think they could look more commanding than what they did in the first half of Ascent. But here on Haven, which is, of course, their map pick, they look even stronger. And now, maybe this time they can carry it on over to the second half. Because, again, they were in a very strong lead, and they managed to lose it 13-11. Very, very tight scoreline. Now, with a 6-round advantage off the half, surely they can close this one out in the next sort of 5 or 6 rounds.
Well, remember, it was a similar story in the last map, and Temperate weren't quite able to get it done. RIX found their comeback moment mostly in the second half here. Chance available, of course, if they can win the pistol and the conversion, then that'll be okay. The first rifle to come out for Static, and that's when they can really try and back, or they can just win the pistol out here and continue momentum from that point. There are further opportunities available as the pistols wrap the corner, and RIX catches one player completely blinded. Dutchy trades, but Lou responds the same.
So Genio taking an advanced position, going to teleport over, but that will make noise. Stokesy has heard that. May not be aware, though, of Will spot the teleporter though in a second. Does know exactly what's happened. They have the reach. Surely Shifty doesn't just walk out and die here. They know exactly where this chamber is. Surely.
Flank has found the C site entirely with no further resistance from Temperate, and they have an angle they can work with onto the initial rotators. Shifty, I think, is looking at a camera right now. I don't think there's one on the site itself. Spike will go down. All the tripwires have yet to been recovered. One will get popped open right there and then. So I know they're on the site itself. Shifty very quickly will lead the charge in with, again, the aftershock coming down. The kill still coming for Sergino. And Pegasus Stempy with one, but that's as far as they can go. So quickly overwhelming for Static. And Sergino, again, playing the positional advantage to perfection.
A good start. That's actually Static's first pistol round that they managed to pick up out of the last 4. So good sign for them coming into this attacking half. And Pegasus as well, finding their first kill in the map. So it's all looking good for RIX from this point onwards. They got 5 rounds to catch on up, but they've caught up on worse odds before, in just the previous game, in fact. And we'll have to see if Temperate have anything to surprise us here in the second round. They have got a little bit of investment here. They've got that Sheriff and the Shorty, which could do some damage. Josh playing very close to this wall, and if they can successfully force to not Temperate, oh my god, Dutchy finds the shot onto Rex. If they walk into this A site, RIX could be throwing.
Uh-oh, Dutchy! What is this? What is this? Even Josh has chimed in on pizza, and it's all falling apart for RIX now. Lou in the 1v5.
Oh my god!
Oh my word! What was that? Temperate pistols pulled out, across the board, and RIX. How did they lose that?
Oh my goodness. They saw the Dutchy shot, but they didn't know, like, no one else on Temperate gave away where their positions were. They thought it was still just Dutchy, and they went in, and no one showed their hand still, and Dutchy just managed to land 3 crazy Sheriff headshots to open up the round, and then they're running in to try and catch that player, find on the A site after they've lost so much. Josh is there with the Shorty, secures a 4th, and then it's like a 5v1 at that point.
Yeah.
What do you do? Static, oh my, I mean, Temperate, if you cannot close this game now, you do not deserve this series with such an insane upset round, 6-round lead now as well, and you've denied them as well their bonus and everything. You are in prime position to take map 2.
Sergino walking forward to the headhunter. Side turned away from one player walking out to the center of the site. Will he be spotted or will he do the spotting? Spotted himself at platform. There's Josh with a decent kill. Sergino down. Advantage now gained for Temperate once again. Static will try force forward into the B side, but Stokesy has a crack angle to play with as all the players cross towards him. Peter and Pegasus will drop. Rex with a decent trade, but him and Lou are the last 2 players remaining, and they're not going to account for Lou here. Up close, Vandal picked up. The Cyber Cage will fade, but Josh will get a trade. Rex now left alone with the Vandal. 7 points of health. Can't hold on forever. Overwhelmed with the numbers game. 11 now for Temperate here.
Temperate's going to be feeling pretty good here. They are up 7 rounds. They've been up 7 rounds before, but they're up 7 rounds again, and it's a very, very close to being a match point. They just need 1 more rifle round to go their way. They'll be sitting on match point and potentially could force RIX into an eco, and what a win that would be for Temperate. After such a close game where it looked like they were in command, they were going to win over there on Ascent. Now here on Haven, they look so much stronger. Speaks to how familiar they are with this map. Again, this being their map pick, they look so much more confident. Some of their plays have just been baffling, I think, for RIX to try and get their heads around. And Temperate has taken them by surprise a fair few times. Looking good. Looking good.
Boombot disabled. Rex might get caught off by a counter boombot here from the Temperate side. It's Dutchy straight through the wall. What? Yeah, what is that? Not a bad question here, I know. That is a little bit silly now. That's the, what, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th ridiculous shot we've seen from Temperate so far in the last 3 rounds. From just Dutchy, yeah. Dutchy himself now starts to lead the charge from the backstab. They reduce the 3 players on the Static side. They'll try and work their way in towards the C site. Probably get a spike plant with, especially with the knives that will disable Josh here. Present detected, dead to rights on Peter's part. So there is one trade, but the backstab is the big concern. Dutchy needs to get caught off by Lou, and indeed, they even up the standing. Do they keep that evens? No, they don't. Stokesy bursts through. Headshot foul. Peter will be watching out from long, waiting for further contact. Sprays through to a 2-on-2 here. Fault line also back. Stempy seen. Tags on Peter. They've got to be ready for them. Press forward on Shifty's part after trying to drive them back as Lou flanks in, and now it's all left to Stempy, flashing through, continuing to engage with the Spectre. Peter's easy kill, turns back around against Lou, but Lou with a triple holds down the round for RIX Static. So once again, they deny map and match point for Temperate.
Temperate just fumbling that retake, I think, there. Yeah, they had the player advantage. It's still a tough situation to be in, even with the player advantage, especially when all your players are separated out like that. Trades are very hard to find. When you're all the way up long, you've kind of got to be the first to swing, because otherwise you're not going to be in any kind of position to trade any of your teammates entering through CT and Garage. So unfortunate there for Temperate. But they've got plenty of opportunities here, I think, to push themselves to match point, Jay. I mean, yeah. I know we've seen RIX pull chains and rounds together before, but, you know, they've got to go and pull off a similar amount of rounds in a chain and have Temperate not win a single random round here or there to push themselves to match point, potentially win the game off of it.
Force forward. Again into the garage position in the mid control for RIX Static. Temperate have their weapon control. Dutchy looking for individuals, try to lunge at Sergino. Actually did catch him, to be fair, so well done. Doesn't really do much towards the RIX Static line. They're going to rotate back and rotate into position. Josh in a very interesting position. Crack angle held. If they go towards long, then they might all get converged upon. They check the corners. No, they don't. No. Oh my god. Oh, this is past three for Pegasus and Josh. Dutchy's there for backup though. Holds control for Temperate here.
Still a huge performance from Josh again in that situation. And Dutchy can capitalize on it. Found so, you know, with the cabbages, as I call them. And now 4-on-2. Temperate very much looking to head towards that match point. Peter's found two of them.
Information to be gained, but the third player unknown. The flank also inbound from one more. The Astra on the way in from mid. Peter walking forward, you're right. Swing to Stempy. Not killed. Oh, it's a collateral headshot. There was one shot to Peter and Pegasus.
Temperate.
And Temperate are finally on map point.
They haven't had a match point this series so far. They look like they really were close to getting one last game, but here on Haven, God, they've got, what is that, 7 match points?
Yeah.
Got to win 1 of the next 7 rounds, and they're through to the upper bracket final. Oh, no, not through. They're through to map 3, sorry. I was getting ahead of myself there, sorry. Map 3, which is, of course, Bind, and it is the last map up, so hopefully should be quite even.
I mean, you kind of like counting your chickens before they hatch, mate. Like, there still could be on. Remember what happened in the last match for RIX Static? They brought back a ridiculous
7 in a row.
comeback. They did 9 in a row.
They
it's
did.
Not impossible. It is not impossible at all. Look, I'm not denying the fact that obviously Temperate are in the advantageous position, but I'm just thinking that there's a much better chance considering who we've seen so far in this tournament and what we've seen so far in this matchup for the RIX Static side to bring back the comeback here. Tour de Force brought out here on this buy-up. Dutchy again trying to send Hunters forward and will not catch anyone for it. It's just mid-control established by RIX. Stokesy, however, wants to throw a spanner into the works. Hearing footsteps, turning away from window and getting caught off by RIX. That's an all-important kill. As meanwhile, they send further forward with the ultimates and try and look to make their way into the site itself. But it's not towards C, it's towards B. Got Showstopper out for RIX, turning away, could fire back and misses the targets.
There's both showstoppers are out, actually. Josh trades 1-for-1 with Rex.
Shifty forcing forward against Peter, gets the advantage back to an even standing. Not quite to the favour of Temperate, though. Lou with a responsive aftershot coming out against Pegasus. Won't be able to get the kills as they rotate away from B to A instead. Plant open, but they haven't got a lot of backup here. This actually might be a challenge outside of the site that might lead towards this round going in their respective directions. Flashes forward, Tour de Force is forced to miss. Continuing to face in, though, trying to spot them as they cross back towards Heaven. Wait for contact still. Careful placements. Again, the fault lines are out. Dutchy has dropped in. They've got a low HP player waiting around the spike position. Lou caught by Stempy. 2v2. Turned away from Pegasus. Looking to swing. Stempy caught off, but doubles up. Sergino got a frag desperately. Tour de Force picked in. Now to 1 versus 1. Dutchy on the defuse and holding it down permanently. Sergino got a swing. Sergino got to go for the spray, but Dutchy wins the fight. Has he got time to hold the round? You're damn right. He does! 13-5 Temperate take us to map 3.
I cannot believe it. It almost looked like Dutchy was going to fumble it there, coming off the spike, trying to tap it again, spraying at the CT position, but Sergino fell for the bait in the end, thought there wasn't time, went for the kill, and Dutchy, MVP of that game by a long shot.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Especially towards the tail end, right? The
huge
Sheriff kills that overwhelmed them, all of that effort he put in with the rifles and all the other weapons that he pulled out over the course of that tail end of the matchup. What a performance from him, and what a performance that is from the side of Temperate, because it's a complete bounce back, a complete role reversal to what we saw at the tail end of that last map.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was talking about how they could lose the win from their sails, you know, rough going into the second game after being on such a big lead and being such a tight first game, but they certainly did not. They have performed hugely. Dutchy 22-9 at the end of that map. Such a crazy player there for Temperate. So, you know, not far behind 18-14, but the scoreline says it all. 13-5 after just coming out of map 1, 13-11. Temperate took a commanding win here on Haven.
And that's encouraging as well, because they've got a closer fair on their opponent's map pick, a dominating fair on your own map pick. Right now, I'd say going into map 3, Temperate have looked like the stronger team. In comparison to the RIX side from the scorelines alone, and certainly with the way things look like in that comeback, they do look like they might be on to take our final map of the series, which will be Bind after this break. Don't go anywhere. Well, as RIX capitulate on the opposing map pick at 16-5, the closeness of this series may be overstated as we go to our final map of the series. It will be Bind here, Hanno. And I do feel like I still want to see some sort of close affair in this one because I still have faith in the RIX camp. But you have to admit that when you take a look at the scorelines, when you take a look at the performances, right now it feels like Temperate are the team that hold the advantage.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, we saw RIX on their map pick struggling. They managed to pull it off in the end, and Temperate, unfortunate weren't able to clutch that one out. They could have made it maybe a 2-map series. And then over on towards Haven, Temperate, they looked so strong. 13-5. It's such a different scoreline from what we saw before, 13-11. They are clearly in command of these maps. Not quite able to clinch map 1, but I think RIX, they're going to be sweating right now going into map 3. I mean, I know it's Bind, it's quite different from the other two, and maybe RIX will have the upper hand, but it's certainly looking like Temperate is the more on-form team today, and that's what matters really. And again, this best of 3, if you lose this, you're going to drop down and start playing some best of 1s, and anything could happen to you down there. It's risky to drop into that lower bracket.
Yeah, and certainly for RIX, me and John were having a discussion yesterday on the broadcast about how they're in this high-pressure environment because they are the team that's expected to win this tournament, and they have a lot to take away if they do win this tournament. So now we're getting into the playoff bracket. We're looking at today, especially when they've been taking on teams like this Temperate side, like Pink Fluffy Unicorns, and we're starting to see the confidence that they held so calmly in the group stage start to fade away a little bit. That result against Pink Fluffy Unicorns had a 14-12 victory in it. There was also a 13-9, which still made it a close affair for the PFU side. And then obviously in this match we just talked about the 11-13 struggle on their own map pick to come back, and the 13-5 victory that they just lost out on the Temperate side for on the Temperate map pick. So we're looking at Bind saying that, listen, all this amalgamation across the last 2 series they played might end up costing them big time. They have to get them their heads in the game, and they've got to try and focus up to be the RIX we all expect them to be. Yeah,
I mean, 3 out of the 4 pistols so far have gone over towards Temperate. They've looked really commanding in those, and that gives you a lot of free rounds if you capitalise on it as well. And the one pistol that we saw RIX win, we then proceeded to see an absolute dominant performance from Dutchy, finding 3 sheriff kills, and a 4th kill onto one of the players with a shorty from Josh. Josh? I just can't remember Josh, yeah. So, even when they win that pistol, the second round, Temperate was fighting them tooth and nail to still claw back that round, and they succeeded. And so RIX not really being given a break, even on the rounds where they're expecting an eco.
And you can imagine that they won't be giving them a break in this matchup at all here on the Temperate side. Like, they'll be giving it their all. They'll be giving no real chance for the RIX camp to get into this matchup. They'll be stopping them at every single hurdle. They'll be fighting on in the same sort of fashion as you mentioned earlier in that second round break in the second half. So in that same sort of scenario, we can imagine this being the case that it's not going to be an easy battle for RIX, like at all. It never was going to be, to their credit. But we also take a look at the situation that we have at hand, knowing that this is a map in which it could decide the future of their tournament. Because, yeah, they will drop into the lower bracket if they lose this particular game. And from there, it's best of 1 to try to get back into the lower finals. And we saw how unpredictable those could be yesterday, Hanno. Yeah. And as a result, I'm not sure whether RIX can sort of stay alive if they're coming into today with the form that they've had in these last 2 best of 3s.
Yeah, most of the upsets in those have been in those best of 1s where we've seen. So I think just now, a mini upset, right? Cognizant, I think, is 9th. Goosehouse 5th or 6th, I think, it's seeded.
Yes.
A little bit of, Cognizant, I believe, has just knocked out Goosehouse. There's a couple of other teams down there that are, losing to teams a little bit lower than them. Unfortunate, and that even though RIX is first seed, they're well and truly above a lot of the other teams in this tournament. If they run into something in that lower bracket they're not prepared for, CSGG, for example, which, again, we were talking at the start of this series. If CSGG had beaten Temperate, made it into the series, we thought it was going to be an absolute banger, because CSGG, again, in the group stage, had a very, very strong performance against RIX.
Well, this one still ended up being a banger regardless, and it will be banging out on Bind, our final map of the best of 3. Any thoughts on who's taking this one?
I am going to bet on Temperate. I think they are going to go and clean it up with the reverse sweep, the 2-1 win.
Honestly, my eyes exactly with that, honestly. With the way that they played so far, RIX struggling to deal with them, I'm sort of with you on that front. So, Agent Picks, break it down for me.
Agent Picks. Now, I believe we have seen something that we haven't seen. I mean, maybe you saw it on broadcast yesterday, but we've got a neon from RIX. I'm not sure how common that is on Bind. I can't say I've seen it too often, but we're also getting both the chambers locked in. Usually, to be honest, one of the most meta agents right now, finally getting both teams picking that up.
Hey, I was talking to John yesterday as well, by the way, that I don't actually do much Valorant and regular day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So for me, this is actually going to be my first time casting a Neon.
The Neon.
In game. Because yesterday it was all like standard Asian picks. And we had one meme match, so I don't count that one. But then there was this one. So this is going to be quite interesting for me. I'd love to see what Rex can do with it, because Rex was playing quite a fast-paced style with this particular agent in yesterday's best of 3. Again, it was a 13-1 stomper, and they weren't really playing all that seriously on either side. So I'm curious to see whether that sort of style and that pacing will be replicated here against Temperate.
Temperate, obviously, finally moving Shifty off that kind of initiated comp in towards that Sentinel on the form of the Chamber, and excited to see what Shifty can make happen. Josh going to stay on the Raze. Again, I think buying another map where you do prefer the Raze over the Jet these days, with the nerf that Jet had a while ago, Raze just much more powerful at that movement, and buying is one of those maps, especially like Hookah, the A-short area, those paint shells, they can be lethal. Like, I remember in the beta, when they, like, one explosion kills you with those paint shells. Even on some of these positions, oh my god, it's so aggressive!
Wow!
Rex has gone for 2! He's gone for 3! That's 3 quick kills at the start of the game!
That was utterly perfect. That's what I was talking about earlier. The charge dash forward. Now Sergino gets involved. Stokesy left a trade back in what is basically a 1 versus 4. An ace clutch if he holds it. Peter flashing way out, completely blind. Stokesy couldn't have expected it. It's an easy pistol gained by Static. But man alive, that's what I was talking about. Neon instantly with the fast lane. Charge up, kills found, blind sure, but got the triple in the end, and that basically sealed the deal.
That was very impressive from Rex, and it seems like this player may know how to handle this Neon. This is not any kind of a, man, I didn't do well on Sage and I didn't do well on Raze, I'm just going to like go and pick up something that I feel like I can frag with. That play there shows some movement, and if Rex can keep that up, Temperate might not be prepared for this kind of speed to come out from Static, and these kind of rotation depends how competent Rex can be. Go for the little jiggle peaks with the sprinting, and oh, not quite ready. Dutchy's so close, but Rix comes out on top.
Yeah, good efforts there to try and use the high gear and relay bolts on the part of Neon. And ultimately overwhelming them out towards that Bathroom's position. Easy kills on the part of Rick Sergino with a triple, and the 2-0 of course for Rick's Static. Now come the guns once again from Temperate side. Again, Eco dealt with, no real need to worry about that too much. No second round break either like we saw in the previous half. So opportunities now abound with the Vandals and Phantom.
Rick's finally able to start a map well. Both the previous maps have been a little bit rough for them, but here they're starting off 2-0. And hopefully that's a good sign of what's to come. Rex and Sergio already 4-1 up. Going to be closing in on their ults very, very soon. And Stokesy playing quite passive, just dropping that star, putting it on back. And we've seen this a lot from Temperate over the last couple of maps. It's kind of passive play, try and read what Rix is doing, and then go into an execute. Somehow, Dutchy has found a kill. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, from over here.
Okay. So they probably aggressed too far forward outside the bathrooms there. Have still got a player that's sat up ready for Lou. Dutchy, might he be expecting this? That's the big question at the moment. He's got flashes that he can use in about 9 seconds time. He's not going to press forward as of yet. I think only until he has that flash. Now they've also got the backup here on the part of Temperate. It's a slow walk, but a corner that might go. It will go checked, and that's the second frag for Temperate. Ace sites gained, plant down. Rex will try and recover the situation, try and charge forward, and going to kill Dutchy. That's pretty decent here.
The slide there, very, very hard shot to hit, of course, and Rex knows it, uses that to their advantage. Vegas is going on in and finds one.
It's shifted to fall back to a 3-on-3. Damage done towards the Rex side. Now Rex can continue chiming in. Smokes back the face. Slight gap there for Josh to work with. Gets 1 and 2. And now leaves it all on Pegasus. Time ticking away. Got the paints as well. Head out towards the spike position. Good kill found. Now down to a 1 versus 1. And Stokesy peeks in with a headshot and gets the round together for Temperate to start off their final map.
Temperate with a good response there. And beautiful stuff. Playing that sort of passive, just far back setup that we've seen so many times. It seems to be a staple in their arsenal. It might be something that they know Rix is just aggressive on. And so we see, of course, Dutchy finding the kill onto Sergino outside of the A showers. And then Dutchy able to follow it up as well with that kill onto Lou. Those two openers leave the round wide open for Temperate to pick up the win. early flash into toilets there, sorry, into showers, will mean Dutchy's got that info on that fade, and may also have heard the footsteps of that player falling on out. The rest of the players looking like they're going to investigate hookah.
Well, they're putting in to clear out the common angles. Nobody's out there, although there was a player watching from the center of the site itself. It was revealed that position for the information to get gain operator also in on Sergino. Bearing down upon that mid position over towards the A site. But nothing gained so far. It's so slow from Temperate.
Yeah, they are very, very common in their kind of pace changing. We've seen it in every single map, in every single side. RIX doesn't like their passivity and is going to be pushing forwards.
Flashbang perfect for 2 kills. Shifty can't come back, however. Peter dealt with Pegasus. Turn around by Josh's aggression in from Hookah, and just like that, Temperate turned the whole situation around.
They do great work with that breach. Managed to fall without getting a single kill, and that means Shifty secures double kill, and still Temperate keep the advantage. On the after plant here, they are going to make it out towards long. 2 players towards long, 1 in this elbow position. Lou cleared out the rest of sight. And Serginho on the operator. It's not the gun you really want to have. It can hold 1 angle, but going to be difficult to flick over towards that long position. And they gamble on the wrong side, peeking. Their teammate dies.
1 frag for Sergino. Got to get 2 more, though. Operator clutch, tapping. Shifty is extremely low, but not dead. Headhunter can't catch him either. Shifty with a quadra. What a recovery for him as well. When Temperate had themselves pushed on that back foot, the perfect flash and peak from Static. Felt like they had that whole round in the palm of their hands. What a responsive from Shifty, though, and ultimately turning towards the favour of him and Josh. 2-all to the boards.
I love the initiative from Peter and Rex there to go on down that long B position. Flash through, and then Rex, sort of slides under to go for a quick double kill. Almost found the third, but I don't think Shifty was fully flashed or was turned or something, and so they were able to turn around and they picked up both Rex and Peter, which is not what you want to see in that situation. So it didn't end up working out in their favour. Oh, Rex just going full ham, finds 1, but Josh will secure a kill. Dutchy finds a second. This A side pretty much wide open here. Peter's the last player towards A short.
Temperate count the player advantage at this moment. Dutchy hunting for 1. Tour de force of Shifty catches Peter with the info gain. The reaction was on point. Smoke's now down with the Astral Stars. Smoke's back in from the beach as well. Lou charging up. Gets the headshot on Josh. Okay, that's a way back in with a Phantom also in hand. Taps forward. Dutchy gets the kill. Now it's all on Pegasus. Sheriff in hand, waiting for the chance to strike. But where could they possibly be holding from? The info's just not there for Pegasus here. Running around the corner. Certainly can't see Shifty. That tour de force gun barrel is a little bit too short for information to get gain. As he peeks out, gets the kill. It will be a third to the board of Temperate as they claim the lead.
It looked like a promising start from Static, but they haven't been able to follow it through so far. Lost a few runs. It's been brilliant from Rex, though. Really taking the initiative, trying to make these plays. And they're so close to working out in their favour. But it seems like every time Rex does something, Temperate is able to punish Static on other sides of the map, or just follow up with a couple of kills, and no one's able to follow Rex and help their teammate out in securing those initial advantages at the start of the rounds. Maybe Static's going to start shifting towards a more passive approach with that Neon, just play the kind of rotate, because there's 2 ways of playing the Neon really is. Aggressive, like Rex been playing it here, or you can kind of play it as just that player that's constantly rotating between the sites, because you can get between them so fast that by the time the site executes in, you're already there, ready to help your teammates.
The fast pace from RIX trying to get up in the face of Temperate. Slow things down on both sides of things. Once again, Seeker sent out. Sprays through on Josh, gets the kill. Rex going to line up 2 and only gets the 1 frag. Will force them back. 4-on-4 as they can see the stalemate and fall away.
4 players for Temperate leading towards this A site. They walk right into Serginho and RIX. Looking like they've got a hold on both bomb sites right now. Tour de force is up and now back towards the triple stack. And if the Astra tries to come out, Stokes, he's going to be in a tough spot. I believe they wouldn't be able to see the chamber. Playing in the corner, yeah, the barrel's not long enough. And they will be alerted by that trademark.
Oh, Sergino, another tour de force kill on Stokes. He now left a 2 on the Temperate side. Peter with a backstab. We'll see Stempy get the headshot. Didn't wait for Dutchy. Not like it'll matter though. Suppressed on all sides. Only with one pick to his name. RIX have Lou to close the round down and get us to 3-all on the board. And this is a bit more what I was hoping for here, Hannah. The back and forth nature. Both teams going blow for blow, keeping it at evens. Might come away with a decent streak at one point, but with an already decent advantage for the other side to gain back to even standings and just continue to go as far back and forth as they can possibly go so here.
We kind of saw that trading 1-for-1 or 2 rounds for 1 on Haven for a little while, and then we did see Temperate pull ahead quite significantly towards that second half. But of course, yeah, with 3-3, REX putting up huge numbers right now, 10 already. Josh does drop that boom bot and will be spotted out. They do know 2 players at least towards this hookah position. All the players for Temperate actually leaning towards B. Only a couple of players here for Static, of course, and Rex going to go so aggressive. Josh, it's a lovely shot on a sliding Neon.
Again, trying to charge forward with the showstopper out as well. Shifty does strike back one with a headhunter, and Stokes is going to catch off Pegasus. So now this rocket fuse is going to run out. Josh does place it correctly and do some significant damage, but ultimately not the kills against the 2 players that are back there. It's 2 versus 5, however. Rick Static know that there's absolutely no way they get this retake, not with the HP bars being where they are, and down by 3 players, they're going to save.
What a wonderful shot, I got to say, there from Josh to connect onto that Neon, sliding on out through. I think it was a smoke and some concussion as well. Beautiful, beautiful shot on that Chef. Wish we could have seen that perspective. But anyway, Temperate, 5 alive. Economy's be looking beautiful after this round. And Rix just praying they can hang on to this operator, really. Get Serginho with this operator. I think that could be the opportunity for wonders to occur for Rix. I think Rex is already doing a huge amount of work, and it's really on the rest of the team right able to be able to follow that up.
Temperate back in the lead one more time. Rix lost their lead almost permanently, it feels like. They've had equalization scorelines, but never truly gaining control of the situation. Not out of the woods yet, not by a long shot. Operator's being pulled up by Serginho, of course. Vandals and a Phantom in play for the attacking forces of Temperate, so slightly different on terms of their weapon buys here and what they're going to bring to the table. Regardless, it's still a true gun round and one that Rick Static would love to try and hold their own right.
Yeah.
I've got the operator set towards mid this time as Rex will not be too aggressive on this particular occasion. I started to get punished for that.
Yeah, they've been punished enough times now that they've decided, especially now that they aren't really in control of the lead right now and their economy is also suffering. Temperate's doing very, very well, that it's not worth trying to go for this plays right at the start. Just let the round develop and see if you can make something happen later on. Because again, Temperate's just holding at this point. They know that Rix likes to be aggressive. So they're going to play it safe, see if they can get a free kill, and then they'll have to go for an execute. And maybe the Neon can be there on kind of a fast flank and pull something off.
Gino's got the angle here set towards the mid control, and there's many more Temperate players about to face him. Eyes set, ready to receive the first of Shifty, teleport the hell out of there. Cosmic Divide also comes in from the attacking forces. Dutchy is going to get forced back here. Seeker's also sent out to catch off Lou, and actually Josh gets the kill with the nade, perfectly placed. Josh doubles up as well, so Gino caught next. Stempy now and Hookah will try hold back. Spike plant will be secured here. Meanwhile, they've also got the orbital strike down to force them out of the sight. Rex closing in the backstab. Backs a turn. Headshots again. And will try force them back. Speed their way forward. Try look for the double, but Stokesy puts them back down to a 3 versus 2. After shocking against Stempy, gets out of dodge against the first burst. And now Peter in the backside is going to get overwhelmed. Temperate with 5.
Yeah, Dutchy finishes off the round. Almost looked like Rex had an opportunity there to make something magical happen on that A short area. They managed to obviously find Josh, who had such a great performance so far in opening up that round. A couple of kills for them right off the bat. But then, of course, they weren't expecting necessarily that Astra to not be concussed. Unfortunately, didn't quite bounce the right way. And also, the Astra had gone into astral form. So if Rex had decided just to swing anyway, they may have had a better chance before throwing that concussion. But unfortunate there for the side of Rix. They almost had a kind of retake coming on in. Temperate, 2 rounds ahead. They've been in a lot of situations like this before, to be honest. They should be comfortable commanding these leads, and they're going to play it passive. Yet again, you see exactly where Dutchy's playing, waiting for someone to walk out of that toilet's position.
Rix have Shifty prodding in towards mid initially. Josh going to lean forward to the boombot. Sergino puts him off guard. Nades out as well. They try and hold down a position. Fault line evaded as Rex again just charges straight forward. Use the Prowler to move for the issue. Try to hunt for them back once again, but nothing really coming through in terms of the kill counts right now for the defensive side. Same thing for Temperate, to be fair. Just information to be gained.
Execute comes on in, and Peter stuck with that blast back in towards... And Josh going to take Lamp's control.
Force back. Shifty lines up them both as Josh played Possum. Stokes also follows suit onto Lou. Sergino at least gets the headhunter in for one pick. That's as far as it goes, though. It's so quick and responsive from Temperate. They try and back against everything RIX throws at them. Of course, it is pistols v the guns here, and the spike will get planted.
Spike planted.
Not much of a chance, I think, here for Pegasus, and Static going to be starting to feel the burn, of course. They've got no more chances. They managed to pull off a miracle win back on Ascent, almost, it feels like, and Temperate's not letting up. They keep putting as much pressure as possible as they can on this RIX side, and now they're up to 6 and 3. And I would say Bind, you know, I don't think it necessarily favours the attackers hugely. Back on Haven, I was looking at the Temperate lead and going, well, there's every chance that RIX has a strong attacker's side here. But I think RIX is going to struggle when they move on over. The Neon might be able to make some plays, but the rest of the team is going to struggle, I would like to suggest.
Well, the whole game plan has been to set RIX up to make all those plays, and to his credit, he's been doing well. 11 kills so far, top of the board.
But it's not made any rounds out of it, really.
Yeah, it's not made any rounds out of it. That's what I was about to say. And not only that, they've also started to find the counteractions, because he might have the highest kill counts on the board. I think he's also got the highest death counts of anyone over on the RIX Static side. Temperate are doing their work, and they're making things work. It's slow, careful, and passive. Shifty held back. We'll hope for aggression, but none of it will come.
I just love how far back Dutchy is playing. Starting to move forwards finally now. Only about a minute, really. Minute and 5 left in the round. And Temperate, they're just holding on to the map control they're given at the start of the game.
Sergino definitely wanted that kill. Just a little bit late to the party on that front. Dutchy's going to catch off RIX up in the showers. A kill found. Shifty hunting for more. But again, they're forced to slow things down. Sergino just continues to getting flashed off. Pegasus also puts smokes out to suppress the attacking forces. However, they're going to press the issue anyway. Into the site they will look. Stokesy and Stempy. Now Shifty also out towards Hookah, the fourth player trying to join them. They're just trying to burst their way forward, catch off the angles at the right times, but so far so little's coming their way.
They're all going to come out from Lou. Then I think it's Night Stalker or whatever the name of that crazy old is there is Fade. Obviously silences pretty much everyone. Stokesy's very close on site, but Pegasus is in the right spot to deny Dutchy just get a trade. Lou spotted out on site, able to shut down Dutchy, and it's a 1v3. Stempy's going to go absolutely huge here, finds one, looking for the second, does spot it, but there's a player on his side. And Temperate lose their first round in a while.
Yes, RIX find their way in. And Nightfall attempt right there from the Fade was the decent idea of it. It seemed to make sense, but didn't really follow suit with anything else there on the part of the defensive line. Fortunately, it was able to keep together, and they were able to hold it out, and Temperate couldn't really do much for it. They have at least got the ulti economy advantage. RIX Static, however, have found their swing back in. Where do they go from it from here?
It looks like they want to set up for something fast here, Temperate. This is the change of pace, I think, that they've shown so many times before. And see if it succeeds this time. Rex pretty much alone. Just 2 players towards this shower position, and that's it. Josh, are they going to check it? They should check it, of course. They've got no players coming in. They will know Rex is there now with that ability.
Now the Seeker's heading down that bathroom's position. Josh gets the kill, flash forwarding, but regardless of Peter, Sergino forced to get back in with the operator. Gets a kill, Spike will go down, Shifty known towards the backside. They're also flashing their way in, and that will also be seen. They have the info on 3 of the players. The 4th one's going to be a concern. Shifty still trades as Lou goes down. Double up! Oh, what a quick scope! Pegasus down as Stokesy closes out on Lou.
Temperate up 7 and 4. A wonderful couple of shots from Shifty there on the tour de force. Well used, well executed. And Temperate looking to end this half with a decently commanding lead. Obviously the buy for the side of Static is abysmal. That's the best way I can describe it here. They've got 2 rifles, a Sheriff, a Classic, and a Frenzy. Now that is not much. A couple of Frenzies now rather than that Classic. I mean, RIX staring down the end of a barrel, I would like to say right now. Temperate about to go out for a very fast aggression from Rex and the ultimate as well from the Neon. They're not able to find anything this time.
Use overdrive to get involved in this position. Gets that boombot at the very least, but time is running out. Got to get a kill relatively soon here. Just checking all those corners, but they're all so far out towards C long. Temperate evading all contact. Dutchy caught off by Sergino, and Rex completely wastes the overdrive there. Pegasus will now smoke and suppress. Put incendiaries down. Players make their way in, but Lou and Pegasus have it all together. The Molly gets the kill on Shifty, and just like that, it all falls apart for Temperate. When you felt like they played around Static's own strategy in their own defensive line, it's all Stokesy now in a 1 versus 5.
It looked so good for them at the start of this round. The aggression came out towards A. Temperate then went straight towards B, but they're all going to fall to that B site defense. They gave up everything outside A, of course, when Dutchy died and Rex got in front of them and secured that A short position. But yeah, Temperate unable to crack that B site before the rotations came in. And that's actually, I believe, the closest half we've had.
Indeed, it has been. We've seen 8-4s and 9-3s so far in this series, and even though it has been much closer because of or in spite of those score lines, this one could be in close because of the score lines.
Yeah, I mean, now we're going to have to see how RIX does on the offense. I think the key player here is going to be Rex. They may not be top fragging right now, but on the Neon, you can find some very interesting timings on almost every map and make some very, very lovely double peaks. Of course, that slide, it's so hard to hit a headshot. You've always got to flick down. The rest of the team can follow up. And there's some wonderful opportunities here for some great entry picks.
Very
Rex,
quick
so
charge
fast.
up. Dutchy needs to hold on to control. Smokes down. They put the smokes in as well. Taps completely blinded, but no headshots come their way. They will try hunt them down as RIX gets that kill. Charges forward and everything. They have the site control. The spike goes down. The retake on for Temperate.
Stokesy taking some damage already. Rex playing on this angle here as the Neon. Oh, not able as Stokesy swings back, and then the flash comes out from the swing comes out from Josh. Shifty though, it's just Lou and one other player left in a 2v4. They make it a 2v3. Two players coming out.
Taps forward. One player's extremely low, but Josh gets the pick back. It's all to Lou now. Headshot perfect. Where's the last? Boombot evaded. Wrapping around as well. One-on-one situation. And there's such low HP on Stokesy. Known now. Information gain. Lou with a swing. Looking for the headshot. Spike sticking away. Back on the defuse. And Lou wins the clutch. Brings it back for Static.
Another beautiful clutch from Lou. How many of those we see now? 3, 4 of them? Lou has been really on fire, actually, in these sort of 1vx scenarios. Wonderful to see, especially for the fade. You know, so much utility to help themselves out. Very, very strong. And he's just so good. A good match for the player, I would suggest. As Static put it up to 6 and 7. Very close scoreline indeed. Of course, RIX will be rocking those Spectres. Now, the last time we saw RIX pull off the pistol in the second half, we saw Temperate put off a crazy defense, and their eco worked out for them. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time as well, as they're not bought the same sort of utility, but Rex going so aggressive. Stokesy finds a kill. How on earth is that a kill for Stokesy?
Great timing on RIX, it seems like. Trades back as Sergino tries to rotate back towards mid. Catch a player off, but the door shuts on him. And Josh is forced to take a second face against it. Sergino with the kill. Shifty with the headhunter. Trades back, but only for a moment. Stempy now caught off on the backside. Gets the first out of 3 he needs. Sees where Sergino is. And now needs to hunt down Lou. Can he get a better weapon? Don't think he can from here. He can get the headshots though. 4 points of health. And that's going to be a bit too much for him to handle. Lou holds down the triple. And RIX will hold down number 7.
Round was a little too close for the money that was actually spent by those two teams. Temperate did a surprising amount of damage. A lot of that, of course, down towards the final player. Was it Stokesy in the end or Stempy in the end? I didn't see in that sort of final position.
When you've got players like Shifty, Stokesy, and Stempy,
it's hard to keep track of them all.
Yeah, it's very hard to keep track. So I don't blame you for losing out that one or forgetting it.
But yeah, anyway, still a very, very close matchup, down to a 1v1, which it never should be when you're buying classics and shorties pretty much, and a frenzy as well, on towards Stokesy. I'm amazed that Stokesy, while concussed with the frenzy, was able to find a pick onto Rex running in through that A-long position. But anyway, into this round here. Dutchy feeling the pain.
It's a great headshot angle for Sergino. Josh is going to catch off RIX though, trade it back. Try and remove some of the information game here for the RIX Static camp. The Haunt in particular is what they're trying to demand the most out of. Where do they move on from here? RIX rotate back away, hold the back lines, hold passive.
Just playing it quite passive. RIX don't want to use any more players, just let Temperate run into them. Temperate are, of course, players with the guns right now. RIX couldn't afford a bonus because they'd lost 4 of their players in the previous round, so they got a couple of rifles. I believe they're just running the headhunt from the chamber. A little bit of damage comes on out, and Josh in position to do as much damage as possible. Finds one.
Paint shells posted out, but does get blinded. Tunnel vision, and still the pistol can't hold on. Josh ends up with a triple. So Gino with at least 1 trade back. Rifle in hand, looking for Stokesy, and catches the triple of his own right. Okay, it's a 2v2. This round is on.
Like Donkey Kong. No, yes, as a bit of spam comes onto Shifty. It's going to be a difficult retake, I think, but Pegasus in position.
Headshot, perfect to Stempy, and outsaw to Shifty to clutch it. Knows where Pegasus is, an inkling where the next player is. Caught, damaged up by the Molotov, though. Perfect placement of that incendiary. Can't get better than that. 8 to the border, Static. They now have the lead above Temperate. And you said you had doubts whether the attacking side was truly going to be as great as you hoped initially from the RIX side. Well, so far, so good in this early round.
I think, yeah, they've performed incredibly well. Rex has been brilliant on getting those entries in the Neon, and the team's been there to follow up. Because, of course, in the attack, you've got at least 3 or 4 players behind you to help you follow up on those picks. Whereas on the defense, he had at most 1, maybe 2 players behind him. And that's not always enough when you're swinging into 4 players. Sometimes you're going to get unlucky and losing those picks. But it's been beautiful to see this attacking side from Rex.
How quickly Rex is going to make his way in. So Gino catches off that first frag, though. Looks in towards mid. A double up on Dutchy. Pistols in play for Temperate. Once again, they'll just try and hunt them down. Proud is sent out towards the center of the site. Stokes is going to get caught. Concussed out of position. Blind as a bat. Stempy trying to look for cheeky wall bangs, but both the Sheriffs will miss out. They're down to 2 players on the Temperate side against Static. Will all have control, all have the nomination advantage, and have the round itself.
RIX didn't even have to burn too many of their ults there. As you can see, they've actually still got 3 ultimates available and starting to pull ahead in terms of rounds. This is slightly dangerous for Temperate. The Brimstone ult as well, very, and there we go. I think that's... We didn't see a timeout in map 2, I don't believe we did. We saw 2 from Temperate in map 1.
Yes, they called out 2 tacticals, first in the first half, the second in the second half. And this is the first one that we've seen since that second tactical was called.
I'm surprised,
we haven't seen any called out from RIX so far in this entire matchup. So it's been all Temperate right here, because RIX have had that mental fortitude to keep themselves going and turn any bad situation around without having to take that moment's pause. In this case, though, it's not quite the same. They have struggled, especially on this defensive side.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, even if you think you've got the mental fortitude to pull through without a timeout, I would suggest that maybe in that last map it could have been a good idea for RIX to call some of those timeouts. Maybe they could have got more rounds. But if they wrote off Haven, thought they're not going to win it, then maybe you just want to speed through, get that negative energy out of the way, get to the next game as fast as possible, where you know you have a much stronger showing. You know, 9-7 to RIX right now, potentially looking like they might be able to... Well, it's really anyone's game, but yeah, we were thinking Temperate 2-1 probably here with the reverse sweep after how strong they looked over on Haven and how close Ascent was.
Well, RIX still showing some life, still showing that they are the favourites in this series, leading by a margin of 2 rounds and have only 4 more to go before they take this series overall here, Hanno.
Yeah.
So they are the ones in the driver's seat. Temperate have a lot of work to do. We're going to see RIX charging forward initially, trying to shock their way out. Again, they'll send the Prowlers forward. Also got the Tour de Force out for Shifty. Playing point, but 2 points of attack here for the attacking side. So he's going to be careful that wave strafes in. And indeed, Sagino goes falling first and foremost. Is the charge being found? No, Static is stalled by further utility, but they will prod towards the A side.
RIX running on in. Going to try and find where these players are, and Shifty smoked on out. Not going to be able to do anything with this. Tour de Force has trying to get on the edge, but didn't spot anyone.
Spike plant down. Peter watching. There's corridors sent up as well here by the Neon. Sending out those paint shells as now they send the Prowlers out to catch players off. Peter in particular, blinded out, but Rex gets a kill alongside Lou. They remove those players from the U-Hauls on the site. Stempy with 1 trade. Peter going to get overwhelmed by the Vandal. Now it's all left to Lou. The trade back here, try to hold down a 2 versus 2 situation. Flash comes in blind, and Dutchy responds the same. Pegasus on the long rotate, the lurk out towards mid, making his way in against Dutchy, spotted now, and they can stick the spike defuse from here, surely, to play suppression. As he plays around the corner, Flash at the ready, catches all players blinded, but they're still on the spike. Pegasus got to make a move in, and Dutchy makes his move up for the kill for the round for Temperate.
Yeah, Dutchy getting to the exact right spot there to deny that re-aggression. And Temperate push themselves up to a... And you said, you know, it's only 4 rounds, potentially, for Static to close the game. Well, I answer you this. It's only 5 rounds, and Temperate could close up the game. You know, it's so tight at this point. It feels like almost a repeat of what we saw in Ascent, but teams are actually trading rounds for round rather than having these long strings of rounds and then not much else for a long while. So it's been a much more exciting game in terms of the round-to-round play. Now Shifty has got that operator up, and we do see the opposite number on the opposing team have it as well. Who's going to win out on that duel? Shifty bails out a little bit early.
RIX forcing forward the overdrive, but caught by Stokesy in the corner. Almost gets a triple, but Lou puts him back out of his position. A 2-for-1 trade, and Shifty forced back into the back corner. Lou will also get driven away as Pegasus is hunted down by Order Utility. Putting the mollies back out, got Josh to swing around the corner, get that headshot, reduced him to 2 now on the Static side, trying to charge back in towards A. They don't have the spike with them, as Lou falling back towards mid.
I love what Temperate did there. Probably about to re-aggress actually on towards A here as Shifty set up with the op towards short. It's going to get picked off.
It's kill found. Josh facing into Gino, doesn't check it. Headshot spray, adjust towards the
Beautiful.
3K. A beautiful sequence indeed. The defensive holds Temperate. Find us at evens.
Yeah, I really like what Temperate did there. Of course, they waited for the rotor to come in. Because the assault had been slowed down so much, they decided to go for very quick re-aggression into that Lamps. They were able to shut down Pegasus, who was hiding at the back corner of Lamps. Josh is running on in there, trying to do as much damage as possible. They were also able to pick off player towards Lamps, and just speaks that their mid-round calling just seems to be really on point at the moment from the side of Temperate. They know when they've caught the opponents out a little bit and when the gaps might be occurring, and that's beautiful to see. Now, of course, into the new round, it's very fast, long aggression again, Jay. This is Rex on point.
Josh forced forward. The Prowlers are catching all the defensive players off guard, though. They can't really deal with them at all. He forced forward to try and look for that information once again. Dutchy holding, waiting. That front corner, Lou trying to find the angle. Reads it, sprays through, gets the kill, looks to double up. Peter steals away the frag on Josh. Now Stempy sending out further support, trying to stop them, trying to stall them, but ultimately losing his life. Now down to 2 players for Temperate here.
Last player standing.
Just one with the operator in a 1v4. Ideally, you would opt to save this gun here. It's so expensive. I don't know if Temperate really has the economy to keep purchasing the big operator. But Shifty is in the right place to kind of go for a retake, I suppose. I hope once they hear the plant towards A, they'll try and flex elsewhere, but they're going to be hunted down. Look where that fade is, Jay. Going to be difficult for Shifty to get out with anything here.
Spike down on the A site and everything. Up at A heaven. Either get this kill on Lou and escape back towards spawn, or go for the retake and try your hand at it. At least the killer's found towards the first player. So they're going to prod it out towards the balcony, but ultimately better to fall away and save the weapon. It will be RIX back in control. 10 to their board. Lead held again. A Temperate measure to leave themselves out of this position.
Yeah, Shifty going to be able to make it out safely. So scared that there is still another player lurking. Does not need to be worried and has made it out. And RIX GG Static will pull back into the lead. It's been very... Well, the lead's been swapped so many times over the course of this game, but RIX G have re-established themselves in control. Just 3 rounds needed for them to pick up a W.
This one has been down to the wire. And again, the kind of thing I wanted to see. Back and forth kind of matchup. Leads traded, blow for blow. Couple of streaks.
I'm a bit worried for Temperate here, of course, because
Yes.
Static, they've got plenty of economy, and they've got plenty of utility to back it up. 3 ultimates as well up for Static right now, and very fast A-long push yet again. This seems to be their staple when Rex is on this Neon.
Josh holding, we're rolling thunder inbound of the site, will drive the defenders back. Stempy still holding position, and is also going to get overwhelmed by Nightfall. Kill found for Lou's part. Player in the back, that's Josh. Can't do much more though. Lou and Rex overwhelmed. Stokes gets tagged in amongst it. Still faces and somehow finds Lou on the trade, but at 5 points of health, needs the backup from the chamber. Creeps around, might still look for a frag on Rex, sees the gun barrel. Oh, and Peter's back's turned somehow. Stokesy has found a workable position now in this round. Stokesy also puts out the Cosmic Divide. They're on the site. Rex has got to push forward of it alongside a second. Stokesy will get caught off, dead to rights, alongside Shifty, and Static can take 2 in the trot.
Beautiful stuff from Static. Again, investing a couple of ultimates there, and it almost looked like Temperate might have a chance of that Cosmic Divide going down, but Rex stepping through for half a second to take that kill onto Stokesy was absolutely huge, and has meant that they are now in probably the best position they have been, bar obviously winning on map 1 right now. Map 2, really tough for them, but 11-9 up. One more round, they push themselves towards a match point, and they have certainly got the arsenal to back them up. If you take a look at the buy from Temperate, it is so weak. Just got the Headhunter here on Shifty, a couple of Sheriffs, and that's pretty much it. Peter holding, lovely shot, and Josh already shut down. That, I believe, is the only ultimate, the showstopper, gone from the hands of Temperate.
Right, purely on their own individual skill, the trade games against Gino. Dutchy, however, will be sandwiched between them all. Flashbanging will keep Gino at bay. Dutchy will hold back with the Sheriff. Of course, the pistol's in play for Temperate, indicating that they're going to go towards the play for overtime here. Rex forcing forward again, dealing with the Prowlers. Dutchy with one decent pick back on the side. Hang on! The Pistols have brought it back to a 4-on-2. Temperate have a chance left in this round to try and deny a match point for RIX Static here. Pegasus bursting through. Sagino lines up 2 to a 2v2. They'll face around, but they're going to get taken down. Dutchy now forced away by the orbital strike, and Sagino will make it a triple. Dicey stuff against the Temperate side, but the Pistols are still unsuccessful. It's map and match point for RIX Static.
That is absolutely crazy. I mean, Dutchy pulling off another couple of great Sheriff kills. We saw exactly the same thing back on Haven, and they pulled a round out of it, but this time in the 4v2 in an afterplant situation, it was too much. And those attackers in the form of, I think it was Pegasus and Sagino, did not give up. And also they had the Brimstone not still available. They were waiting for someone to attack that bomb. Brimstone goes down, and there's no chance for Temperate to win it. Temperate now in a situation where they've got to win 3 rounds in a row to stay alive in this upper bracket. If RIX just wins 1, the next 3, they will be going on to the upper bracket final.
Rex thinking of pressing the issue.
It's been a bumpy road so far for RIX, but a win here would still mean that they make it to the upper bracket final and secure themselves at least 3rd.
That's interesting for Sagino. Shifty caught off guard by that rifle. Kill found. They flashed their way in towards U-Hauls as well. Dutchy backed up. Flashhawk unawares of how close they really are. Sagino with the headshot. Temperate now down to 3, one of which tries to deny, but Peter accounts for Stokesy. 2 players left. They will get a trade back on Sagino, but they've got to go for this retake now.
Not much to be done. So little utility. They've just got to go in and find these fights. The showstopper is out. There's no one here.
From the corner though, could still catch off one. Fire down to position. Satchel out. Turned away. There's one kill. Peter down. Nades out as well. Players in the midst of the smoke though. Josh is going to find them on the spike defuse. It won't get even towards the halfway marker. Stempy alone. Spraying blind and spraying to his demise. 13-9. It's RIX Static, the favourites in this series, taking their rightful place in the upper bracket finals.
What a brilliant series it was though. We saw a 2-1. It honestly, towards the end there as well, really could have gone either way. I think that bind was very, very tight. A few key rounds there going Temperate's way. Maybe one of those pistols going Temperate's way. We see overtime. We see a different story. Map 1, what a tight one as well. Like, again, we saw great plays from Temperate. It just wasn't quite enough to put up, especially with that RIX aggression there on their offensive side. That was really beautiful to see from RIX.
Truly it was, and what a result it was for them towards the end of that, to be able to hold out the counter-action. Like, you felt like there was some sort of plays that the Temperate side could have done towards the end of that one, especially the play that was in the showers area that could deny the spike plant. And he got that kill, and maybe that could have been a very different story for this RIX side. Maybe they could still be playing on at this particular moment. And with the showstopper as well and everything, the way that they had the 1 versus 3 that faced at the wrong place at the wrong time, there were some key moments where I thought, especially in that last round, things could have really come together there for Temperate, but ultimately it was not to be the case, as RIX proved they are the stronger team, they are the best seed in this tournament for good reason. But it wasn't an easy affair, Hanno.
No.
There's still challenges ahead of this squad, I think.
And obviously, that's not knocking Temperate out as well. They may still have to play Temperate when it comes to the grand final, but depending on how that lower bracket run goes, of course, Temperate's going to be playing, I believe, a couple of best of ones into a best of 3, and then they will be, well, they'll potentially be making it to the grand final. Of course, via seeding, they are the second best team right after RIX, so every chance that we could see a rematch of this game in the grand final, and what a banger that would be.
Indeed, what a banger it would be, and I believe that our finals are going, or upper bracket finals I should say, are going to be RIX versus Gladius, because the match page over on the tournament platform indicates that they won their series 2-0 at 13
over
to
Jokers.
7 over the Jokers at 13 to 7 and 17-15. So there is some real fun times ahead of us here in that sort of sense, because I mean, it's first versus fourth seed in the upper bracket finals against all odds.
Against all odds, indeed, yeah. Third seed not able to make it. I mean, it was 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the upper bracket semis. We had first seed playing second, third playing fourth. But it's going to be, yeah, that 1v4. It's going to be interesting. What are your predictions for that, obviously? I mean, I think there'll be new casters for that, but
yeah, definitely.
I think RIX
so I feel like RIX are definitely the favourites in that one. For my money, that's where I sort of stand on that particular front. But we are going to head towards a bit of an extended break before we bring you that matchup. So do stick with us, because it will be the upper bracket finals on stream next here at EPIC36.